razor tongues and all day long. Yeah. We sit under burning sun, catching the waves, inhale, exhale, reminiscing the bygone time. After we cry, days flying by. Love on delay, push play, let it roll and take you away. Love for a day, replay. We don't care about what they say, and I go on, and you go on, No love on a holiday. 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 All night long. We're running too fast on fumes and all day long. Yeah. Lying around with our favorite tune. Slumber away, inhale, exhale. Dreaming about summer nights with you. Sweeter escape, dream wide awake, yeah. Away, I'm on delay, push play, let it roll and take you away. Love for a day, replay. We don't care about what they say, and I go on, and you go on, No love on a holiday. 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 Love on delay, push play, let it roll and take you away. Love on the day, replay. We don't care about what they say, and I go on, and you go on, No love on a holiday. Yeah. No love on a holiday. Yeah. No love on a holiday. No love on a holiday. No love on a holiday.
No love on a holiday. Kind of a John thing right now. I think he's kind of on a holiday. I wonder if anybody loves John on a holiday. Turn this down here a little bit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Kill that for a second. Hey, everybody. It's Tuesday, and it's been a weird day. Not going to lie to you. This is Tuesday. Everybody knows this is Amazon Scam Day. And so, it's been a good time. I don't know if anybody else got swept up into the Stream Deck 32XL scam. Zan, that was me singing. What'd you think? What'd you think, Zan? What do you think, man? That's some pretty good pipes right there, I thought. The way I was doing that. It was a little higher. Yeah, that sounded good. I was having a good time with that song. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys know. Let me just say hi quick, and I'll get into it. First of all, first one in the door was Lala, which I'm thinking it's good morning there, so that's kind of why I put that on. And she's excited. Of course, she's excited. Anytime that you can see John and then bring Brian on at the same time, you're going to get a little bit juiced. Calm down. Everybody just step back. Calm down, man. It's okay. I see Zan. Yep, Zan. Zan, let's go. I got to beat Zan to the dinner table in the old triangle. Got Patrick. How you doing, man? How you doing, Everyday Tech? So yeah, I got swept up into that along with my buddies on the Stream Deck. So Stream Deck, if you don't know, on Amazon, the 32XL. I'll bring John on. He can talk about it too, and then we'll bring Brian on. But I just want to tell you, people, that was painful. So it was $250 normally, and I got word from some peeps that it was $100, and I thought, yeah. And so did everybody else. And then we spent the next 3 hours calling Amazon and with our credit cards trying to figure a way out of this spaghetti mess. But, it is what it is. It happens every so often. It was too bad. It was a good deal. We'll see what happens. I'm going to bring John on here. we're gonna see what he's doing on a little bit of a holiday, and he's got on remote locations, pretty sexy stuff. It's just like you remember seeing people on ABC, and when they're doing the hurricanes or they're doing the war, correspondent stuff. Well, we've got John, just a sexy exotic location. There he is. It's John. Bring it, John. Are you in Beirut?
I am stuck in a hotel in a third world country, or it's commonly called Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm really afraid to go down that pipe and start railing on Pennsylvania, but okay. So no, it looked like Beirut.
I'm at Hershey Park, everybody. And so this is an example of me using some really low cost things I have here, because I have my BM800 mic that cost $18. I got my $15 capture card, and I have a 11-year-old laptop, and I'm using a $50 audio interface. And of course I have the ZV-1 because I'm using this on vacation too. So,
well, I have to say, John, you pretty much killed any need to ever get any more equipment. I mean, you sound great. I think all you need is a hotel room in Beirut, Pennsylvania, where you've got plenty of carpeting and bedspreads and curtains to dampen down the acoustic reflection. And I tell you what, so I think it sounds really good for the dollar you put into it, right?
Do you hear the AC in the background? And if you do, let me know.
I mean, barely. It could be as much my AC as yours, though, at this point.
Okay.
So hang on a second. Hang on.
Just let me know, because
I mean, it's just like such an undertow. If we had even the lightest violin playing underneath our voices, which I think would be beautiful, you wouldn't hear it. Maybe your son could sing in the background, and that would cover. It's really hard to tell. I mean, I have the in-ears, and I can barely hear it.
Okay, good.
You're in good shape, man. I think your sound for what you set up is remarkable, but I think I'm not shocked. Of course, you walk in with probably better setup than I have. I spent like $18,000, and John walks in with a $15 microphone, and he's belting out.
Well, I do have a Stream Deck XL on the way, so that will be very useful.
So you got swept up onto that too. Sammy, thank you, Sammy. And I saw you did a news break on the fake news. That's an awesome idea you had there. Wink, wink. No, that was good, man. I love the overlay. I thought you did a good job. And yeah, it came out pretty quick once we all jumped on and bought it.
Yeah, I'm going for it though.
I was so excited. I know you are. So we took different paths, and I know I'm going to bring Brian here in a minute. He also took a different path than I did. But here's the truth. That's the one time I used my wife's credit card to buy a toy, was one where they're like, scam alert. And that is not a Marriage Be Better program. So I decided to just beep that thing up, and I just called and said, cancel it. But if it was me on my card, I would have just kept it. So Marlene is here, and she's always such a great supporter, and she loves my background, I think, because she put cool with a K. And, I can't wait to get this room painted. And here we go. It's a scam. $100 is a great deal, which is why it's not a deal. And, we talked about that. Let me bring Brian in, because Brian actually, he may not want to admit it, but he was part of this program. He was part of this big coupon discount over at Amazon today. So if anybody else got taken in on that deal, let us know. So Brian is a guest tonight, and I'm excited always to have Brian on. I know John as well. And Brian can speak for himself, but Brian has a huge background in many things of film. He's got like 7 or 8 regional Emmys for the work he's done. I can tell you that I have learned personally so much from Brian, and I'm hoping not only to bring that out through my own interviews with Brian, but of course he's going to be doing his own live.
Uh-oh. Is that him? Did you freeze up?
I have no idea. Something puked on. We're getting a StreamYard is like fairly good thing, but I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. This has been a really bad tech day for me, so let's see what happens, guys. Let's bring in Brian. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's really
What-
good. How's it in Indianapolis today?
It's not bad. Weather's actually been holding up. It's real nice here.
Yeah. As soon as I'm just gonna laugh at this. As soon as I said, remember I talked about my newfangled tablet Stream Deck that disconnected from the software to the Wi-Fi, probably because there was a Wi-Fi trip up here, and so it probably was local. And this is the one reason that I do want a physical Stream Deck. Is as nice as these little tablets are, and put on they are when they're working, they are dreamy. And I didn't have a problem during the day when they were both on Wi-Fi, but one now is on a hard line, one is on the Wi-Fi, and I think I got a router going. And so it's just breaking connectivity, which is unfortunate and sad. I'd leave and cry, but I don't want to leave you guys here. So no big deal. We're just going to move on with the manual protest. So Brian, did you get swept up into this Amazon too good of deal to be too good?
I did, and it was such a good deal that I was like, oh man, I need to jump on this right now, or I'm going to miss out. And like, do I even need it? No.
Nobody waited. I got information. I thought this is great. I went there. I'm like, it is in fact $100. I couldn't believe it. I kept looking at it, checking around. I'm like, John, I know you're busy in Beirut, but you might want to check out this deal because you like deals like me. And then I told Brian, hey Brian, you might, and we're all excited. And then I quickly got word after I bought everything, because it's always after the fact, it's a scam. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. Now I got to tell these people. So then I told Brian, and then I go to John, and John's like, I already bought it.
As soon as you sent me that link, I was like, I'm all over this, because for $100, you have to be. And I was like thinking, hey, who knows? It's the old style. They came out with the new style. So who knows? It could be a possibility. So I'm just kidding, Patrick.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was that isn't Patrick from is he from Philly?
That's why I said it. I knew he was going to be like, come on, man.
If you want, Patrick, you just give me the word and I will dump John's feed in an instant. Okay. We will get back at him.
Hey, I'm still just hoping that it's some kind of brand new Chinese knockoff version that's like super awesome. And
you don't want that. You definitely don't want that.
It might work better. I swear the stuff I get from overseas works better than my stuff.
Do you want to answer this question, or do you feel like maybe you're exposed here?
Technically, everything's from overseas, but
yeah, that's true. I mean, there's nothing that we're.
Where's my son and my wife?
Are they in a disclosed location? Are they in private witness?
Right there.
They're 5 feet from them, Sammy.
Yeah,
it's amazing how quiet.
They're on their phones, and just watching the stream and checking us out. And this is what streamers got to do, bro. We pound it out, no matter how far in a third world country we are. We get it done.
Well, if they get behind you, if they can hear me, if you need help, get behind John when he's talking and blink really fast, and we will get somebody over to you. Okay. Don't you worry about it. Although she's sending mixed signals because your wife is saying that she loves the background. I mean, did you make the bed, John, before you called?
No, I don't. I don't make the bed ever. So.
Oh my God, I'm shocked.
That's
at least there's no socks on it, so we got that. Lala says, "Oh yeah, I heard that scam from Brian just a while back." What? Brian scamming people? What's happening?
Actually, I'm the one selling all the Stream Decks, and I've just made a ton of money.
Yeah, he's buying product from Dan C. Bearded. He sells these Stream Decks for cheap, and then he goes and buys all the Dan C's Bearded products.
I've heard this about that. It's just kind of like you're moving funny money around. I think it's like money laundering with you and Dan.
No. If it includes a beard, it's not laundering. It's money grooming.
Money grooming, whatever. However you're doing it. I did talk to an Amazon rep today. I know John Pullum did as well. John, I blame John because he actually was one who started this candle today. And I'm just kidding.
I'm like, why did I even check my phone? Here I am in a water park. I'm in a water park putting on my sneakers, and I'm like, oh my God, a Stream Deck for $100? Like, why am I even checking my phone?
Yeah, I know. But you know that if I write you, it's important because I would never send you a message unless it wasn't absolutely critical.
I was like, I saw one message.
Yeah.
And then it was like on Facebook, it said Stream Deck $100. And then all of a sudden I buy it, right? I just buy it. I'm like, screw it. I told my wife I'm buying this. And then all of a sudden, like 10 seconds later, I go to look at my texts and it says Stream Deck is a scam. And I was like,
and he's like, what? I'm like, and I'm literally sighing in my message because I felt so responsible for Brian and John's, missteps here. But, you got to admit, it looked like a real deal. I should have checked, but Lala, yes, I talked to a rep, and they're pretty safe. I canceled mine, but the truth of it is, if things go south and they have to stick in the fraud team, it takes them a couple weeks, they said. But if they got to go that route, it sounds like, John and Brian for sure will get their money back. The biggest concern I had and why with my wife's credit card, I decided to back that truck up was at the time I just had this panic mode of like them getting information on my credit card because I wasn't thinking, and I don't need that hassle in my life. Okay. Right. I want to keep buying toys. So if I go down that, but then it turns out, of course, that they don't get the credit card information. That's all processed through Amazon's portal. And then Amazon doesn't share that information with third parties. So everybody's credit cards is in good shape. So don't anybody worry about that. It's just really about the boys and the girls who bought that today will get their money back. They will. It's not a risk. I really should have just wrote it out. I should have gambled it because you might get the Stream Deck for $100. John, you're going to get 2 Stream Decks today, but glad Sammy Superstar warned me before I did. Well, I'm glad that he warned you. I didn't get one message from him. So apparently his news break desk only goes to John Pullum. I'm just teasing. I
think I'm getting a Stream Deck.
I think you're going to get one. And I'm just going to cry. Like I literally will have tears of Stream Deck tears when you guys go.
Yeah. From Lancaster, Pennsylvania to northern New Jersey, I'm picking up every Stream Deck on the way for $100. So it doesn't matter.
Can anyone translate that name? Is there anybody in the audience that can translate that?
I'm going to tell you right now, if you speak Chinese, this is the equivalent of Smith. So you know what I mean?
It's a very common name.
Very common. And I feel kind of like we should be able to speak that, but it's okay. That's fine. But yeah, I think the fact that the business name is why you stupid buy this Masugi is probably a dead thing, but it happened. Yes. John is in Beirut. He is covering some things. I think there was if I'm not mistaken, I think there was an earthquake, and then Beirut was like, they got a warning for tsunami because that seems reasonable, like where they're located.
Yeah. I'm on the 7th floor right now.
Are you? Safe. I think you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Brian's in the basement, and he's covering the basement of the hotel, as I understand it.
All the news breaks down here in the basement, so this is where to be.
I have my top-notch equipment here, which I would love to really show you, but I don't want to move anything because I feel like anything could just fall out of any USB port at this moment.
Yeah. So I see about 8 minutes.
You weren't kidding. Like literally any minute.
That was like, wow. That
like
was
Nostradamus there. That was crazy.
He knows.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's kind of cool. I could just have an avatar up here and just.
But you don't have one set. You're just.
I don't know. It might be cool for you. You know what we're gonna do? Let's put him.
Yeah, I can come back. There we go.
This is where he belongs, people. Thank you, Lala. Yeah, something was going on, and I'm having some router issues. I'm gonna want. You know what, John? When you get back, and I may actually get.
Oh, he's back.
Is he back? Okay, now I just tell everybody that's jumping in here. We're talking about the Stream Deck scam of it's Scamgate. What's it called? Stream Deck Gate of 2021. And anyway, I had tried before all this went down. Yesterday, I started using the Stream Deck mobile app, which works great. I find it works great if both your PC and your unit, whether it's my phone or the tablet, are on the same Wi-Fi. You start moving things around, one to a hardwire and one whatever, it starts to get weird, and keep getting dropped. So that's disappointing because I can't stream out. I could, but it wouldn't be as good. Obviously, I can't stream out with my hardwire. So it's good to happen in a way. It tells me that I want my $100 Stream Deck, and this infuriates me even more that I'm not going to get that. But thank you, Lala. And if it happens again, just drop a note so I know what's going on. I'll try to catch up here on you guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I said, right? Just like a week ago, we were like, man, when I first started like getting more into streaming about it, and I was like, I don't really need a Stream Deck yet.
I remember early on, you were like, it's okay, man. I don't need this Stream Deck.
And then
I'm John Ryan.
Yeah, which I was clicking every button, and rarely missing the buttons. But the point is, it's just like if you're a little bit off, then it's like you're clicking something else. You don't know what you're gonna click. You're in a stream, you didn't see it really, and it's like it just makes everything so automated, and it makes it a lot less of a chance of screwing our streams.
Let's back it up. Buttons. I'm looking. Okay, so I got 3 monitors set up, which isn't even enough. I could use 10 monitors and I'd still be, I was going to say, bitch, crying about it. So I've got OBS straight ahead, which I had to go manual on it. Thank God I have some kind of glasses on it, because you talk about buttons, the little links are like this big. They're like in 10 font. Yeah. And you go to get them, and of course your mouse is like, maybe this time will be accurate. Maybe. Yeah,
but you can make those scenes on the left, you can make them a little bigger. You switch it up and it's becomes a bar. And
no, I don't need this kind of.
Well, you know what though?
I don't need this good knowledge now.
When you go vMix,
hurts my rant.
When you go to vMix, you get rid of StreamYard. That will be one whole, thing gone, and then you just have vMix.
Yes, because I'm going to just. I actually don't. You don't hate OBS either, but let's be honest.
No, not at all.
vMix opens up a lot of doors, and I don't know. Brian was around for a little. My frustration drop off today. I put that right at his feet, and it's you all know. I mean, you start pushing the envelopes, which is what we all kind of do to move forward, and things just go like, oh, it's great for a minute, and then it goes to absolute, and today, like I made some really great movements. I'm trying to change up my overlays to be more templatey, and I'm adding all this stuff on my tablet. Which, by the way, it might as well be just a pot holder. It's nothing. It's telling me it needs help. A connection failed. I know.
But Jay, you recorded the video, and so you have evidence that it was working really well upstairs. So,
I did. I sent Brian, because Brian, could you send me a video? So I sent him a video, and it was working. It was, but again, both were on Wi-Fi. It's very interesting. It was more solid on the Wi-Fi, straight up on the channel. But any imbalance, if you switch routers, even on the same networks, it's not good. Mm-hmm. And so it's a shame, but it can work. Now, Brian brought up this idea that you could connect these mobile devices maybe directly to a hardwire. Is that possible? Can you hardwire into your network a tablet?
Well, you can NDI it.
No, that's not the same thing, is it?
So I was just talking about having a whatever proprietary connector to a Cat5 cable, to an RJ46 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't. Do those things have an Ethernet connection? You'd have to get the dongle, right?
Yeah, no, you'd have to get a dongle. What I'm saying is that you can get a dongle so you can connect internet cables to them.
Right.
So that's what I was suggesting.
They do exist, is what you're telling me. Because if they exist, I would try it. Because at $250, I'm going to have to watch you guys with your Stream Decks, like we're in a sandbox, and you guys have these nice cranes, and you're playing with them, and I have like this deflated tennis ball or something.
Yeah, but you can get a Stream Deck.
Dude, I'm not paying $250 for that Stream Deck. Not when I could have had it for $100.
But we've already paid $100, so it's just another $150. So it's fine.
I know the answer. You guys save so much money. Why can't you guys split the difference of what it's going to cost me to get the extra $75? Each.
Well, if you just tell me to look out for a 15-button Stream Deck, I'll pick one up for like $100.
No, damn it! You have a 32. Then and a 15. Brian, who didn't even want one, now has a 32, and I've got a 15. Oh,
listen, I'll tell you what I'll do is
I'm incensed.
I'll sell you my 15 for $100, and I'll keep the 32.
We are just not going to be friends much longer.
It's brand new.
I'll sell you whatever comes to my house, whatever it is, for $100.
What I love is I can read behind John's eyes. What he's mad about is he got the one he can't put the faceplate on, and he's just worried he can't put his little Coffee Tech logo faceplate he's going to get over the top of that, which would actually be damn cool.
I already have it. I have the faceplate.
You do not. Do you really?
No.
You were reaching. I thought you were going to pick it up and show us. I was going to be really
It's right here. I took it on vacation.
For some reason, I don't know why.
The fact that his wife is on another bed, but his Stream Deck front is right next to his reach. It's so intimate. It just says everything I need to know.
I got my new what did we order, Jeff? We both ordered the same
tripod.
I got my new tripod today. I know that.
Oh, did you get the same one Jeff got?
He did, but we didn't get the one that you. Oh, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't get the one I suggested.
Oh, Brian. I didn't want to do this on air. This is so awkward.
What's funny is I almost bought that one like several times.
I know.
Actually.
I can't even look at Brian.
I'm a tripod guru, and I suggested. So I'm just curious now. Which one did you get? What's the story? What happened?
Well, first of all, the tripod that you and I'll get to chat in a second. The tripod that you did suggest is one of the in that class is considered the best. The VT 4000 Magnus. Yeah. And it is. The issue that John and I have, and the issue that held me up, I don't like the 54-inch height, max height on it.
That was the only thing. That's
the only thing that kept me from doing.
And the only reason why I have never bought that was for that reason.
Yep.
And
I kept coming back to it going, it's too short. It's great if you're a soccer dad and you're like, oh, look at my little Jimmy. Fine. You got a fluid head on a 54-inch thing and Jimmy's he's standing there picking his nose. But that's not going to work for me to do the over the head stuff to the back, like different shots. How tall is this one? 70? Did it go to 70?
It's 70 or 72.
72.
And then I sent you one that said 74. I forget what brand I sent you, but it was a popular brand. And then you sent me this one, and we both looked at it, and we looked at every picture, and we're like, dude, it's the same one with a different name on it.
It looks really the same. And then if the one you sent before, and then it was $100 even.
Yeah, dude, it was $96 shipped.
Yeah. It was 169. It's taller. The reviews on it are really solid. Is it going to be as good as the 4000? I don't know, but people really seem to like it and say it's fluid.
What's it called? What's it called?
Let me get it.
Get Notion it up.
One thing I don't have a Notion right now because I didn't put
I have it in my messages though somewhere.
Is it Amazon? We bought it.
Yeah.
It wasn't from that same company, was it?
Oh no, it was from the Chinese Smith guy. It's a Novella 72-inch professional VH501.
Yeah. So it's funny they stole the 501 from whatchamacallit.
Well, Manfrotto, right?
Yeah, the 501.
If I had, of course, oops, wrong one. See, this is what happens when your tablet goes to hell. This is what you're left with. I am so incensed right now. Look this is what you get when your Stream Deck tablet doesn't connect your Wi-Fi. I'm done. Oh my god, this stream is over.
And what's funny is he sent me a Geekoto 79-inch carbon fiber one, and I was like, I bought that one 2 years ago because I learned lesson learned. If you're buying a tripod, don't buy the ones with the legs that turn like this. Get the ones that clamp over.
Well, there's good reasons to get the ones that turn, but you need to make sure you get the highest quality ones. Yeah, Miller makes insanely good ones that turn, and but the cheaper ones don't hold at all, and they're terrible.
Well, I had mine for about 2 years, used it not that much, and one of those legs went, and that was it. Now that was $170 I paid for that, and I could actually say the fluid head wasn't all that great. And so I wasn't really happy with it at all. And then I had sent over to Jeff. It was a Viltrox. Viltrox is making this one that had a lot of decent reviews. It was on B&H and it was on Amazon. And then he sent me his version of that, and it is identical. The pictures are identical and everything. And so between both of them, they had a decent amount of decent reviews.
Here's that trade-off. And
why not?
I think where John and I always seem to kind of agree is if Brian is right in that, like, probably that 4,000, like if you take the whole quality of this and you mold it together, like got in that class for a functional unit, 160, I think 169 or something like that. That is super, right? And then John and I are like, okay, but can we find something that's almost that, like just almost that quality, but also fits a need what we need? And then, oh my God, when you find that at $100, you're like, it's an easy deal.
I'll give it a shot because
you could send it back if it doesn't work out.
Like I said, I bought that Magnus one, I think it's called. I would have definitely bought that one if it was just a little taller. So
I feel like $100. Maybe I wouldn't have felt this way earlier and when I was younger, but I feel like $100 is completely fine to gamble with something.
Yeah,
there you go.
And
sign her up, boys.
So like, give it a shot. What I liked about the Magnus is it is short. You're right. You're not going to be able to get that, but 99% of the time it was tall enough for what I wanted it for. And I feel like with cheap tripods, it's most of the time the fluid is just crap because you can't actually. There's no adjustments on it, and it's kind of what a preset is. And for a light camera on that tripod, it is smooth enough for, in my opinion, professional results. And that's really hard to get. And the only reason that you recommend it is because I've had it and I've used it. So,
I agree with you. And there's a lot of good reviews too with that VT4000. But then I did spend some time on YouTube, and I looked up the Viltrox one, and people were pretty satisfied with it. The guy had it for 2 years. He does photography. That's what he uses it for mostly. Right. But he was very impressed by the fluid head, how smooth it was. He says same thing. A lot of times, like if you have one of those sitting around for like 6 months, they go to crap and this and that. And
it was one of the same type of reviews that we saw with the 4000. Honestly, you wouldn't even know you're reading it. So that's a good sign, but we'll see when we actually put it to the test.
I think Brian's right though, because my feeling was if this thing lasts me a solid year, I'll be like, okay, it was a piece of garbage for $100 a year. If it lasts me for 2 years, I'll be impressed. If it lasts me for 4 years, I'll be like, wow, it was worth every dollar.
Yeah. So Sammy says he's going to test that Stream Deck mobile out while he's at the drums. Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, you can do it at the drums, you can do it at the piano, you can do it when you're playing the tuba. But if you are not connected well, it's going to dump on you. No, I think it has a lot of. It's great. I enjoyed it. I thought, and it's snappy. Everything was really quick, no lag on anything I use. I use it on my phone. I use it on the older tablet, and I really was. Look, if it wasn't for what's going on right now, and maybe I can fix that. If it wasn't for that, I would say that like it's 1,000%. Spend your $2 a month, get the mobile. Oh my God, he's being attacked in Beirut. Oh my God, everybody, SEAL Team 6.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it doing? How you enjoying Hershey Land?
Asking how you enjoying Hershey.
Enjoying it really good. I can't hear anybody because you have headphones on.
That's true.
Well, the reason why I walked out of bed because I had to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to do that right now.
All right.
Okay, then.
I need more information.
Yes.
Kids are awesome.
We had a great time at the water park today because, we kind of like thought, my wife especially, she's on top of everything as far as, how the vacations go. And it's like, oh, the weather's going to be horrible. And I was like, give it a chance because you know how it is, like when the weather's not that great, but so people, refuse to go. And I was like, man, it could be like a home run for us, Yeah. And so then we went to the water park area and it's like, we basically got to do everything we wanted to do because it was like probably 30-40% full. It was great.
Those are kind of nice when that happens. I've had that happen at Disney World once. It's like, oh, this is what happened here.
It's like a dream.
It is like the lines are calmed down and it's just kind of nice. The weather's not hot.
So, do you guys know like Disney has this whole fast pass thing?
Yes. I use it all the time. It's perfect.
So you remember when that didn't exist, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like non-existent.
I was there.
So Hershey,
still
same
there.
thing now, right? 5 years ago we were here. It didn't even exist. And now they're doing the fast pass here. Yep. So it's kind of like, it kind of ruins things a little bit, but
it does. It's kind of does and it doesn't.
At Disney, it's worth every dollar.
I think at Disney, it's worth it. We just did that. 2 months before COVID took everything and shut it down. We went with a couple kids, and I mean, they're kids we know. It's not like we picked up kids and just took them.
They're just
And,
random kids that
random
were in your
kids.
neighborhood. It was,
What are you
they're
doing in
walking
Arkansas?
by,
Come
Hey,
with
you want to
us.
go to Disney? Let's go. Got a
Every-
van right here.
The van, come candy, and scene.
Going really weird right now.
Yeah. Hey, you're the one in Hershey. So let's just calm
Stream
down.
buddies.
I'm taking the GoPro out tomorrow.
Oh,
Beep, beep, beep. This is making John, look how uncomfortable he is.
It's creepy, and it reminds me of E.T. from 1982.
Well, we didn't do the right one because it would be Pinky, but that's okay.
Oh yeah. Well,
So Sammy says you can get a $100 Stream Deck. Yeah, I know that, man. I went there and I went, hey, there's a 15 key for 100, but then there's a 32 XL for 100. I am not smart man, but I'm going to try to get that big 32 inch one. And that did not work out so well. So the 100 would be the older one, I think. The 150 is the new plate one, right? There's a $150 15 key, which I think is the one,
Yeah,
the
it's the
newest
same.
version.
It's the same price as the old one.
And then, no, the old one's 100. The old one's 100. What are you talking about?
I just bought it. It's $150 in the stores.
I know, but you can get the old one for $100 on Amazon. The older version is now $100 even. The newer 15 key version is
That's
$150.
if it's real, because I saw that right next to it. I saw the 32 for 100. I saw the 15 for 100. That could be fake too.
Sammy, are you scamming us? Man?
No, I'm just
Are
saying
you-
because in the stores
Oh.
it's still 150. And then the new version is the same exact price. So that's why like there's a slight possibility, like maybe that we might get this. Who knows?
I don't know, man. I don't think you're going to get it. I think you'll get a what do you call it? A return, maybe?
Either way, I get my money back.
Yeah, either way, you're fine. But I'm just saying, you just kind of. Let me see here. So let me try this with my old school way. I don't know. Can you see this? I'll pop it up here.
Yeah, but I'm not trusting Amazon right now. I'm not going to trust that price.
I know you're not trusting it, but he's so adamant. Oh, I don't mind Mr. Smith from China. I'm going to let that roll. So it's back to 240. It's back to 240.
Is
They
it?
changed it. Yep. They must have enough calls. We did it, everybody. We did it. We got them because I told them when I was on the phone. I'm like, hey,
Yeah, but who's the seller now?
this is not a third party.
it's a Prime.
It's Prime. So,
Primes. That means it's probably stored in a warehouse, like right next to my house. Basically.
and I would say the same thing here. This is coming out of delivered to Grafton. That's me. Well, look at here though. The same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Confirm. It's the same. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. John, I got to tell you, John's right.
Direct packaging, get
I usually am.
$30.
It's exhausting.
Sammy, stop it.
Don't scam us.
You're making us all get scammed. Go back on and do another news break on some kind of Facebook thing and warn them about this $100 one. The $100 one is also a scam. It's the same dude.
I know.
Why is Amazon so slow? I'm so glad there's a clip guard on here because I'm yelling. Why is Amazon sorry about that? Why is Amazon so slow that they can't do this? Like what? It's the
'Cause
same.
They're not
dude.
John Ryan, bro. They're not John Ryan.
I mean, this is like 33% off. That seems more reasonable than the 60% off. I guess. It's
And if
slipping
you're in
under
the
radar.
same mindset of me, I just thought like maybe they're getting rid of the old ones for a cheaper price because at this point, everybody doesn't want to pay the same exact price if they're gonna. I felt like a jerk. I just spent 2 weeks before it came out. I spent $150 on the
Oh, you
old
are a
one,
jerk.
and then all of a sudden it's the new version. I mean, not that it doesn't change anything, but it's just nice to have the new version.
She loves the sense. I just no humor here. I'm mad. Just kidding. Thank you, Marlene. It's true. Got to have a sense of humor about it. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. You know what? She's asking, Lala's asking, what's a Stream Deck Mobile? So you can have the physical unit, Lala, if you didn't get the answer already. And that's great. So you can buy that straight up and the software is free. Everything from there is free. Or you can download the mobile app for Stream Deck and connect it to your Mac or PC, and you can spend $2.99 a month for the mobile app. So it's kind of a nice way. And I have to say, it works great. Again, there's some things you got to be aware of, but I'd say give it a shot. If nothing else, what I do love about it is it gives you a sense of what it is, how easy. I have to tell you, Stream Deck. I use Touch Portal. So remember, everybody's like, use Touch Portal. It's the same thing, and it's free. Yeah, you know why it's free? Because you got to be Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and some NASA scientists to figure it out. It's an absolute nightmare to figure those macros out. I'm not an idiot with that stuff, and I gave up. It was not worth it. And it was also not very, it was kind of glitchy.
He seems a little grouchy today, don't he, Brian?
I've had a day. Okay. I had $100 Stream Deck, and then I had a $0 Stream Deck. I had a very angry roommate in the house wondering why we were getting scammed. And I didn't want to explain it because I just had a tripod come. I had some other things coming. And you know what I'm saying? Just trying to keep the household happy.
So
you know?
is she kind of like saying maybe you got too many things coming in the mail?
Well, it's so funny you say that, because how long before that did I tell you that my tripod arrived? Was that yesterday or today? That was yesterday, actually. Right? No, that was today. Right?
Yeah, today.
Maybe you could stop texting your other friends and pay attention to the show for a second.
I have a lot going on today.
you got a bet on a horse? What's happening here?
God, I got so much stuff. I got the the new logo, the new T-shirts.
You're not that important. You're not that important.
Got so much going on.
I can't deal with you. All right, we're moving on to the next thing.
Dan C said he would have me on the stream if I grow a beard.
I'll never get on with this garbage that I have. I can't grow much. This is 10 months now. This is such a. So what do we say here? We answered that question. Their account. I don't even know what that is. I don't care. Stream Deck Mobile is a virtual Stream Deck. Oh, we got that answer. Sorry, that was awful. I'll give you one here.
Oh wait,
yes.
Did you happen to see Sammy play the drums yesterday?
Well, I saw him sound testing, and I worked with him the other day. So
he did a stream last night, and
did he?
Yeah, Tom was there.
Okay, cool. All right.
And he did it. He played the drums, and
right. That's cool.
We got to see you soon.
Well, okay, but
after your paint, right?
I don't mind, but it's a different world of drumming. But okay, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but I just feel like weird about it. Like, it's like,
you don't feel weird, because I think it's like something everybody would enjoy anyway.
I'll break out some like, you know what? We'll break out some John Bonham and Fools in the Rain or something with this kind of fun, lighthearted, some grooves. That'll be kind of cool. I love John Bonham. His approach to everything is beautiful. I'll do that.
That's the son?
No, that's Dad. That's Led Zeppelin dude. Son is what? Josh or something. It's another Jay Bonham. He's pretty good.
I saw him play. He's pretty talented too.
He's pretty good, but it's so hard to live up to Dad Bonham,
Yeah.
That guy, he was doing stuff with a pedal that nobody could figure out, which was a problem because nobody, to this day, the problem is there's really no good side footage of him doing his technique. So a lot of people are like, well, he's doing a heel up or he's doing a constant release or different type of things. So nobody really knows what he's doing. I have my thoughts on what he's doing, but you're doing it by sound. And so and to do that with one pedal at that time, and it wasn't great pedals at that time. I think that's the other thing people don't realize. The pedals were still pretty archaic. So what he was doing was just phenomenal. Nobody ever done it. And he tripped into his John Bonham triplet grooves on accident. He was listening to a jazz drummer, and he told him one day, I forgot his name. He said, "Hey man, I totally don't. I feel bad because I just stole what you did." And he goes, "Yeah, I ain't doing that. What you're doing is not what I'm doing." And
I thought he took a small person, an extra small person, and put him down below, and they couldn't see.
That's what they used to do. In Broadway shows, they would take a small person and they would let them. They'd sit low below the bass drum, and you wouldn't see them. Yeah. And then he would play with his right foot, and he had these little muffled drumsticks. Huh. No, Brian, that's not at all.
Seems right. It's so amazing. I can't believe they would do that.
I should have just run with it.
They took a squirrel and they had some walnuts. And
well, I mean, it's all magic to me. Like making music at all. Like I can't believe that you can vibrate strings and make like these beautiful sounds come out of it. It just doesn't make sense.
It is pretty incredible. Yeah,
it's true. Sell your SM7B and get a Stream Deck and new gear. Was he talking to me? Well, I don't even have my SM7B anymore, to be honest with you. And get a Stream Deck and new gear. Okay. I guess that's good. That's all we do. That's all we do. I mean, I have one kidney. You know, I have 3 toes left. I'm selling parts of my body to fund my gear.
What I did to save money is I bought in 30% to my local Amazon route. And so now they're shipping to my house every day and it doesn't cost me anything.
No.
Wow, look at you. So anyway, Sammy Superstar says, what tripod did you get?
Obviously wasn't listening to the stream.
Sammy, you
I
gotta stop
think you're just
playing the drum.
a little behind.
He's talking. What you say? I'm sure I'm. No, actually, I'm not behind. That was at 8:25. Well, maybe.
Well, yeah.
We're just having too much fun. I don't care. We haven't talked one bit about my. You know, I put up a thumbnail. I'm like, here's Brian bringing the guest in. We haven't talked. Brian has basically been here to talk about a scam, laugh about our stupid drum jokes. I feel so like we slighted this poor man. He's such a talented dude. But anyway, we're gonna move. You just deal with it, Brian.
This
That's
is
a
all
good
fun.
deal.
I enjoy every minute of this.
I know you do.
I just I'd be in the chat.
I'm going to tell you
saying the same
something.
thing regardless.
Can I just say something about this comment here?
No.
I would not even spend $25 for 6100.
The Sony, it's now only $25 an amp. Yeah, there's a reason why it's $25, and you probably have to pay another $50 for like shipping. I agree. There's no reason why I buy 60. I would probably I'd buy an Elgato face cam.
I'm going to let all the other people buy the 6100s.
After my research, if you got them, use them. But I don't know that I would buy one. He
No,
must be kidding, right?
They're discontinued anyway.
Well, yeah.
I considered if the price was right. I mean,
Patrick says, "What sign is Danielle trying to show back there?" Yeah, I'm a little concerned.
What
I'm a little
sign? There's no
concerned.
sign.
Is this a save me? Come get me. Put a helicopter on the roof and come get me and my son out of here. Okay.
I
Calm
think
down.
it was a hard out, is what I think it was. It's like, no, he needs to be done at this time. We're going to the pool or something.
Oh, she did?
No, since you are a week behind in chat, I know I'm going to have to explain my previous chat. Danielle wrote some message on a piece of paper and showed it behind John. John, she left you. That's how you. Oh,
There you go. Nice.
oh, she is awesome. She's so good for you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is great.
I didn't
Thank
even
you,
see it. I did not even see it.
You know
We're
what?
sending help. We're sending help.
And Patrick's mad because, and I would be too if I was Patrick, because the joke needed the timing. But I have to say, it wasn't lost here. It's still funny as hell. Thank you, Patrick, for pulling that up.
Yeah,
And letting us see
especially
that.
since I didn't even know it happened right
Oh,
behind.
you're as oblivious to me, my friend.
Yeah.
A week behind in the chat, it said help us. Yes. So we're a week behind. I don't care. What does this say? I don't even care anymore. I'm relatively close. Shoot the flares in the air.
It's not that far away.
Save the boy. Okay, what do you got here? I received an email saying my order was canceled and I'll get my refund. Okay.
Oh,
I'm sure
darn.
Amazon will take care of it. I'm sure I've got an email somewhere too, but you know what?
Oh,
Did
wow.
you? No, but we physically canceled it. Like John and I actually called Amazon to cancel it. You didn't do that, so I'm not sure how yours is going to resolve.
Yeah,
You're
they're
still
gonna send it. They're just gonna send me the money back like John's.
Probably. And Patrick, you know what? Yeah, you're SEAL Team 6 for the family. You did a great job. You're
Patrick's back from California. You know that, right?
Yeah, I got that feeling because I
He's
feel
here?
like because he's here.
Because if he was in California, he wouldn't be here.
Well,
He'd be like,
look,
what am
there's
I
no
doing?
there's no sand dropping out of his chat or anything weird. You know what I mean? So I know he's not on the beach in California anymore. What a weird day. It's been a weird day. My
been a
llama,
really
I
weird
saved
day.
I saved my llama the other night. The night I knocked it off, but it didn't ship or anything. So in case anybody cared.
I think secretly, Brian, he's trying to put the word llama in every stream he does. I think he just it's like this thing that he's sneaking in, and then he's going to take like that clip from every stream and put it together and go, oh, here's my llama clip, and it's me talking about a llama in every stream.
Well,
You know
first of
what?
all,
You're right. He's doing that because I'm paying him to do it because I love the llamas.
and the mystery gets deeper. See, just when you think you know the script, it takes you in takes you deeper.
Yeah.
I'm not X-Man. No, there's another guy behind the curtain.
Llama tell
deeper.
you something, buddy. You guys are
Every
crazy.
time.
Starting
So,
my own brand of llama pellets. Get
so
yours, $19.95 on Amazon.
here's the thing, John.
To steal.
It's not me saying llama. It's you. I get you to say that stupid llama joke every time. Llama tell you something, and I'm putting that. I'm going to put that in a reel.
It's a good joke.
It's not a good joke. See, after 10 times, it's not so good. So I'm going to put
No, it's
that.
good. It's good.
I disagree. If you tell a bad joke
I just treat
times, it gets better.
I'm gonna put together an hour-long montage with the Benny Hill behind it, with John saying, "Let me tell you something," and it's gonna be like an hour-long montage. It's gonna be hilarious when I do it.
Might as well just make it like was that ASM? Just like and just make it like a 10-hour just like a video that you can put on and go to sleep to.
Yeah, exactly. I do that sometimes. That's what I do. A lot of times I put. John's kind of. Is it me or is John pixelating?
I think he cut out on us after that.
I don't mean his video either. I think John's pixelating. Oh, look at this.
Looks comfy.
First of all, what do we think about the legs? Should we talk about the legs for a second?
I don't think he's wearing pants.
Do you think there's more hair on the
wearing
legs or on his face?
I'm wearing shorts.
I bet there's skorts.
It's
They're
summer
skirt
clothes.
and short for swimming. If anybody tuned in, if anybody's tuning in and lurking out, has never been here, this has just been an abomination. But I'm having a good time, and that's really all that matters. John's heading to California soon. Are you going to take Sammy with you? You can fit in the luggage. You can take him with you. He can make sure you don't get scammed. Although I feel like he is the one who's scamming everybody now.
I think John's going to take Sammy and put him on his lap, and they're going to do a show together.
Going to do some ventriloquist motivational speaking.
That would be a good
tour.
idea. That's probably $1 million idea.
Could you imagine? Okay, just vision this, boys. There's John. We all know what John P. He's a good man with his words and his entertainment. So he's sitting there and he's got a little Sammy on his lap. He got the hat. He's got a fake SM7B up at the ventriloquist mouth, which would be Sammy. And then he's got Sammy playing the little drums. And there's John just drinking water. You know, it's like, what do you think? Brian's shaking his head. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's begging out of the scene or if he's.
No, I'm a very visual person, and I'm just picturing it, and I'm just shaking my head like, no.
I think it'd be good. I'm just saying. I think it would be. Yep, video's been flagged. So you've got me a claim struck, or whatever you call it, channel struck.
Who?
Now. You, from this sex you've been doing over here, this sexing. You can't see. I got a mouse over you.
Oh,
you like
delivery.
Fact, you get like things handed
nice.
to you. Oh my god. Oh, we got a lurker. I like this. I like it. I don't know Mikey Lito live, but he said I'm kind of lurking. I watched John June's 11 stream last night. Thought I'd tune in live tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I've let everybody down, Mikey. And first of all, digging the avatar, and also thanks for just for stopping by and saying so. And
So
we were supposed to be
John
talking about-
Pullum's or John Pullum's stream, or mine?
Did you do a dream? Well, I guess that's fair. Mikey, is this? I'm going to assume that you mean John Ryan's stream from June 11 and not John Pullum's. Maybe I could be wrong. You could clear that up, and you did not. Thank you. We were supposed to be talking about mixed frame rates and FPS frame rates and resolution, and we have not. I couldn't help it. The scam threw us off, Mikey. And but you know what? I appreciate seeing you. Okay, Coffee Talking Tech.
June 11th.
I'm not shocked. You know, there are some people who like John, and they'll follow him around a little bit. John knows I say that with love because he knows I love this man, and so that's I say that and get away with it, even though he's in Beirut.
There's just a couple people. That's all. Though.
A couple people. How's your horse doing, John? Yeah, how's it doing?
My horse. First, I just want to thank Mikey for watching the stream. I really appreciate that.
10 minutes
And,
later, fine.
Yeah, and my horse. What do you mean, my horse?
Oh, you're checking your horse app again. So I figured,
How he's doing in the race?
how's the race? You got a horse app? You got a horse in the race? You're checking on there, John? I'm giving you garbage. I'm giving you the rub because I'm making fun of you.
I
I
think he froze.
was curious to see what the June 11th stream was.
Oh, so he said, Mikey says, I saw John on one of the StreamYard shows. Because you had been on the StreamYard show. They pulled you in, remember? And, and that led him to your stream and all of that. So that's pretty cool. I love it. And you know what, Mikey, thank you for stopping in, because I know this is not John's night to stream. He streams on Thursdays, our show, and then I stream on Tuesdays off my channel. So the fact that you even dipped in here is much appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm away on vacation, so I'm just jumping in here for about an hour or so, and I'm going to be taking off so these two good fellas can take over the stream and get some seriousness done, I guess.
This is not recoverable. This is this is like let's just pull the parachute and you realize you forgot to put the pack on. But it's okay, because John gets to leave out of this cycle and we have to pick the pieces up. But it's going to be okay.
I kind of like it that I'm going to leave when just when you guys get serious, because that's perfect. I got to keep the fun alive and, in the hotel room. And
I'm really glad that we get to make your little Hershey Park ride even more fun, that you get to come on, kind of slip slide through our little show, and then you leave, and then the park rangers got to go through and pick the garbage up.
I skirt out, and then you guys get to talk about the serious stuff.
No, we get to change out the yellow water in the pool. That's what's happening here.
Nice. Well, yeah. Someone's got to do it.
May June 11th stream was a blast. It was all the nude episode. Yes, it was. It was very naked.
What is this?
It's going to end the stream, but I decided to stick with. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Here we go. Here. Until I watched that stream, I didn't know anything about vMix or Notion. Oh,
nice. So you got some good information on that. So
that's excellent. I love Notion, and I don't know. I don't get it, because it was at a night. It probably had nothing to do with me.
No, I don't think it was. I don't know if it was StreamYard exactly. It might have been with us.
We might have been talking. We were in StreamYard. I don't know, but Mikey, I'm just out of curiosity. Was I on the show at some point?
Yeah, because if
and I'm laughing at myself. And was I on the show? And did we talk about Notion? Because that's my thing. I really do love it, and I'm gonna.
Might have been the night where I said that, I've been working on the vMix stuff for weeks on end, and basically you were working on the Notion, and so then we were coming together with our talk of what we've been doing for weeks on end, over the summer. So I think that's what it is.
I think you're right. And I'm going to miss when you leave, John, is that weird echo sound every time your Wi-Fi. I always say this: your Wi-Fi for a hotel is held up incredible. Like, I would say 80% of the time you wouldn't know that you're on a hotel, maybe 90%. Your picture is actually pretty darn clear. For people who are tuning in late, the man is working on, I think you paid $35 for all your equipment, headphones, mic, interface, a week's worth of Wi-Fi. I think it was $35 for this coupon package. You got somewhere, maybe verbal or something.
And then I have 4 megs upstream right now, a little bit less than 4 megs.
That's incredible. And that goes to show what you can do.
Well, this is a good example of why StreamYard is so awesome, right? I think when it comes down to it, I got an 11-year-old laptop right here. I have an $18 mic. I have an audio interface that's the cheapest you can get on Amazon, and StreamYard is working, and this is why it's so awesome, because I can use this laptop and basically stream out.
It is credible. And then now you also have an assistant. Is that like an intern, or do you pay for that?
That's $100 an hour, but
okay. All right, I get it. That's
I could have bought 7 laptops with that.
Patrick said there are some people that love John before or after he showed the leg. I'd say both. I think he probably lost some people, but he also gained some people the minute he showed that gam.
I forget what headphones these are. I think these might be the 5 or 6 series. They're the steel.
Thank you, Marlene.
The Steel series.
I love the Steel series stuff. I have Arctic 7, and they're amazing. I'm sorry, but they're great headphones.
Yeah, these aren't like they're not too costly. They're great for the money though. But
I got the Arctic 7 series, or they connect wirelessly. They're not Bluetooth, which I don't like for that stuff. I like the wireless stuff, and it connects really. And they're just the controls and the sounds. They're for gaming.
I think these are like 4 or 5 series.
Yeah, I haven't heard of those at all. So
they're wonderful. The 5 series are nice. The 7, The Arctic series are great. For the money, they're kind of like the Magnus 4000 for the that group. Yes, he was looking for the helicopter to get you out of Beirut. Mikey, you were supposed to be flying it, my friend. What happened? If you're not flying it, it's won't get to that. It won't to chop.
I'm curious why Mikey's never came into our streams.
I don't know.
Before.
I mean,
it's nice stopping in. I'm just
so glad he stopped in. It's always fun to see someone new as well as all of our cool friends. Mikey,
maybe he just saw it. Maybe he just saw the June 11th.
I don't know, but Mikey, you don't have to give out information. Of course, can you? Are you from the States? Maybe it sounds like you might be. You don't have to give out any information, but we're safe group here. It's a good group of people. And if you want to let everybody know where you're from, and also if you have a channel and you want to promote, feel free. And after the show, drop that in the comments afterwards too, so it lives on and thing. And we'll all subscribe to you if you want that. I mean, whatever you want to do. It's good to meet you. Is all I'm saying. By the way, this is Brian Paul. You asked. Somebody asked. Yes, Brian Paul. He's a guest of ours. And for the people who don't know, he's from Minneapolis. He's a good friend of the show. He is chairman of the Stream Buddy group. And he's the CEO, I believe, of the Stream Buddies.
Yeah, he's way up there.
No, he'd be the CFO. He's the Chief Fun Officer of the Stream Buddy group.
I'll take that.
No, the fun group. He's the Chief Fun.
Oh, the fun.
The fun.
Did you say front? No, he's a Chief Fun Officer. Don't ruin it for me. My friends are watching. I got 2 friends and they're watching, and you ruin it for me. Did I tell you that I didn't get a Stream Deck for $100 today that I wanted?
This is cool.
Sad. It's sad.
It is sad. I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm a victim. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I'm a victim too,
but you only need to spend another $150 to get it. So it's just like you put the first down payment on it.
Okay, so quickly, I mean, we'll go through this, but I want to make a note of this. You know how everybody says, just go right to the XL Stream Deck?
Oh, yeah. They would say, don't waste time with the 15.
If you have the money, I would strongly recommend the same exact thing, because it's the minute you get it, you're like, wow, this makes sense to get the 32.
But it's one thing I want to tell people too, using the tab or the phone, you are capped at the 15 size, which is great that they give you that on the mobile. You can't grid that out like a touch portal to like a 32, 64 or whatever.
Right.
You're capped at that. It is easy to build the sub layers or sub profiles and then the folders in there. It's beautifully easy. It's smooth. However, John is absolutely right. Get the 32 if you can out of the gate. It just will save you a lot of pain.
It's just because when you're new to streaming, which I am, okay, and you start out, you think to yourself, well, I could do all these things and thank God. And it's like, it doesn't end there. It just keeps going because your show keeps on growing. Your overlays keep growing. Your stream keeps growing.
John, have you, on that note too, so I dumpster dive as a DaVinci person, and you are too. So I downloaded all the DaVinci icon packs and the plugin. There's some really cool things. And honestly, I am a productivity person. You guys know this. I hate anything that keeps me from doing stuff. And so I've set up all my apps in an app folder and profile. So open up everything, even my PSD things to create my thumbnails and my overlays. I just made it open up Photoshop and go right to that file. I'm not messing around with that stuff because it drives me crazy. That's the inflection points that we talk about that I just get tired of. And with DaVinci, I'll open up DaVinci and my management software and just kind of get rolling on it. But they have a lot of great tools. But the Wave XLR, John, you and I have complained about. Now, did you dip into the Wave XLR plugin for the deck at all?
No, not yet.
I will tell you, do it. You can control very easily the sub channels right from there. Now, do I like that better than having the physical sliders? No. However, they essentially gave you it, and it's really nice.
I know that that's there.
Why don't you do it? Why don't you set it up?
It's got me interested to even look at the Wave XLR. I wasn't really.
Mikey says, while you guys are chewing on that, talking amongst yourselves, you were both on the show and very personal. It was also oh my God, I remember Zan's first visit. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, very cool. That couldn't. First of all, for John and I know Brian, there is nothing more better to hear than someone to say that they think we're personable and they like us on that level and that they feel we're with them. So that means a lot to us.
And I think it's awesome. He's from Long Island, so that's
I
really
saw that. I
close.
was
And
going to jump into that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So you're from Long Island. He's watching John wander around New York.
and he's in Brooklyn. So
And yes,
I spent
he
some
said,
time in Brooklyn growing up when I was a kid. I was so Williamsburg area. So and then he saw the stream in Newark. So when he saw that video in Newark, that is my first video on YouTube ever for my channel.
Is that right?
Cool. Yeah, I did this little thing where I just went down to Newark and just filmed some stuff. I threw it together, and that was it. He watched it. So that was it. That was kind of cool. That he saw
I
that.
got you. I got you. Okay, I wasn't putting two and two together. Now I got it. For some reason, my brain kind of just picked up on the story. Now it makes sense. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing chat. I've got Brian's distracting me with his eyes, and
With his eyes. Wow.
yeah, there's something happening there.
My dreamy eyes.
Now, I was reading, Patrick was saying that someone who loves a 6-button Stream Deck Mini, if you can afford to go XL. Yeah, you kind of quickly learn that. And there's so many doors. I think people get lost in this idea. And I was kind of motivated by something Brian said today about a short. I think I'm going to do that, Brian. But there's so much you can do with these Stream Decks to make your life actually pretty slick when you're dealing with the apps from Photoshop to Premiere to DaVinci, just to file management even, or just to get around things to open up and not having to drill down in all of these stupid things. It takes a second to set up, but it's so easy to do. The only thing that limits you is your mind and your imagination on it, I think. But I think if you can start from the 32 XL, I think we're all agreed that is the way to go, especially if you can get it for $100. I'm not at all bitter about it.
Not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. Jay, Brian, and John, I sent you a picture on Facebook, and that's all. I just run. We don't need to hear.
I've seen it. It's worth looking at.
Is it worth looking at?
It's
Okay.
pretty funny.
And Brian Paulster, I visited your channel. Mr. Doma is a longtime friend. And Brian, in the channel description, I did put your YouTube channel, and I believe because you're over 100 today, it was the first time I've seen you have the vanity URL. Was that something you just did today?
Yeah, so I've just recently going over 100 orangutan views, and so I was I had that the chance. YouTube gave me the ability to add that, so I took that opportunity and added it. So now I have a vanity plate, so I'm pretty stoked.
And you said to me that you had to pivot a little bit because BC Paul Productions was taken, which shocked me. I knew BC Paul was taken because when I looked for you originally, I saw this guy who apparently just got out of prison, took BC Paul, and I thought, well, that's not going to work out. But then I thought, if you're having trouble with BC Paul Productions or whatever, I'm in trouble because J.A. Smith, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to be available. So I'm going to have to find some kind of creative way to deal with that. But I think I'm 24 subs short of 100.
You're almost there. I think you get that at the end of the month.
You think so?
Yeah, I
that
think you got
seems
a
so
month.
far away. That seems so far away from me.
You'll be so surprised when you start making a couple of videos, because I look back now and I'm like, oh, that video got 30 subscribers, that video got 20 subscribers, and all of a sudden they just start accumulating.
Right? Oh, okay. Well, I know that's the deal, and
you can get some videos on there, discoverables, get a connection.
Yep. And then they start looking at your streams, and then your watch time goes up, and today I just crossed 50,000 views today. Actually,
congratulations! Really, that's great. That's like so far beyond my purview of where I'm at. That's so impressive, man. That's great.
No, it's not impressive at all, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. You know what I mean?
I think. Look, man, there's a lot of things can trip you up on the way to 50,000 views, and so it is impressive. As is 1,000 views, as is 10,000, or you know what I mean? It's like. They're all impressive in a way. I think what I mean is that just staying in the game and being happy with where you're at is impressive. So I just want to, maybe I should have couched it, but congratulations on sticking that through to get to that number. It's impressive.
If I just stay on track, I'm not too many months away from potential monetization. So
I'm about 4 years away from monetization.
It feels that way.
It does, but I mean, it for anybody. I'm kidding. The truth of it is, I'm working on my videos, and I talked to John and Brian, and I had a discussion today. I'm very close to capping it and being done with my first video and editing it. I mean, my first real video on product, and I know the game. I know as soon as we start slipping into that stream, that's where the subs are going to come. Of course, yeah, I know it's for sale. I think it's like 35 grand, so it's not going to happen. But if you want to buy it and gift it to me, John, considering that you started this mess with the scam today, then I'm cool with it.
But Jeff, I saw it was on Amazon for $100. So just
what?
No,
What did you?
the jasmith.com. It's on Amazon for $100.
It's that same guy.
Yeah.
Same guy.
He's on namecheap.com. Mr. Doma, by the way, thank you for the sub. I haven't started producing content yet. Well, you're in the perfect group for that. You have people here who like John, who has been doing this for a year, and he's really kind of starting to hit that groove of getting in the flow and understanding and building. And then you have myself, who's doing some live streams and getting into the deal. And Brian is not,
You have Brian who's posted like 2 orangutan videos that happen to have gone semi-viral, and that's got me my 100 views. But
okay, that's fair. But at the same time, Brian also has a regional 7-time Emmy winner for filming, and so he knows a whole lot. So we may be all in different stages, but my point is that's a perfect place to be, and I'm glad you're here, and we would like to know your story and anything that you can help, even us, even though that you haven't gotten into the video, there might be something that we can glean from you. So I'm glad you're here, man. Or woman, I don't know.
I think that's the beauty of it all, Jeff. And I know you feel the same way. Is we're all in different stages, and we all know different things, and we all help each other, get to that same place. And so that's why we started live streaming. And that's why, a part of the whole idea was to have like people come into our streams that are YouTubers, that are streamers. And I'm on groups, with StreamYard, and you'll be shocked how many people that will come into StreamYard and this is all they do with a webcam, or they just use their phone, and they're always looking to upgrade. And, there's still a lot to learn, because once you learn StreamYard, everybody still wants to take it up a level with hardware. And so
there's always something, and you always feel like you're chasing getting content out enough. You're chasing other people. Sometimes you get in a trend like, they're doing content this way, I should do it. So you got to be careful to chase that way. You're definitely chasing tech often, fixing it or trying to find ways to smooth out friction points. And I don't mind that. My only thing about that I at least reminded myself, and I at least try to remind other people, and we're in good company here with these gentlemen, is that it's fine. If you want to chase being better at editing, or you want to be better at live streaming or better at your equipment, that's cool. Just take the pace that makes sense, obviously financially. Don't get yourself into problems. That's obviously, and then do it at a pace that makes you have fun with it. So if you're finding you're not having fun because you're angst about trying to move too fast, then it's not the right time. And I battle this. It's not like I'm going, hey guys, figure it out. Every day I battle that issue, honestly, whether it's with my editing or whatever. But I think it's okay to remind ourselves that. I mean, don't you guys agree that maybe that's important? Yeah,
definitely. I feel like you don't have to be the end product. Like, you don't have to be creating the end product when you when you're creating. Just create something that fits with the tools you have now, so that's something you can be proud of. I'm not saying like just throw anything up, but like just work within what you have and don't worry about where you're going to be 6 months from now.
Yeah. And so John's been doing this longer than both of us, for example. And, there's a whole story to everybody's initial. That's fine. It doesn't even matter. And the truth of it is, yes, John's kind of hitting that point with effort.
I'll tell you
where he is growing, starting to grow and traction out. And, that's good. And that's something that we all can learn on and see evidential, proof, because it's a court case. It's important that we see evidence. But no, it is important to know people and be in circles where people are taking, so John be like, it's not a big deal. It is to us, because we want to get there, and we need to know that there are people that like us who are getting there the same way
I was actually going to say that it was a lot of work. It just doesn't happen by itself. And I say this all the time to you guys is you all know how much I love live streaming. And what I fell in love with was that. And then what I had to do to surround myself with a lot of those like people is dive into a lot of live streams. And when I dove into as many live streams that I am lately and contribute good information in those live streams, right? Because it's not just showing up and saying hello. Sometimes it is, but other times it's actually them them knowing that you're there and you're not just saying hi and then taking off, and spending the time in there and giving the feedback. And I've over the year or 6 months even have grown that into other really good or bigger live streamers have been able to take notice of me because I put that effort into that live streaming. Has my videos suffered? They have, because of my lack of time. And I want to get that under control a little bit. And so when I start putting out the videos more again, then that's only going to compound the amount of things that are happening.
It's a push and pull, but there are only so many hours in the day. Sometimes you have to step back. Like, so John and I are doing, we're really working hard on getting vMix set up as our platform and to use. And we had a really major breakthrough over the last week before he went on vacation. Yeah. So it's typical. He does something good and then he leaves. But, we reward him with a trip every time. But it is that deal where, and it isn't always that. Sometimes it's like, I got to step and learn a little bit more about editing. And well, you know what? Sometimes it's hard to produce a product while you're learning, but you are doing it's okay. Just settle down, get some Zen, and realize as long as you keep moving, push your pebbles, then it's going to matriculate into something that is much more efficient and where you can be in a better place down the road to get you in. And as I look at what Mikey's saying here, he's saying,
I see that.
I produce other people's content and I'm starting to become concerned that I'm overproducing my own content. And that comment just hits me right in the chest.
It hits these guys hard, Brian and Jeff, because I think these two guys definitely fight that big time.
Yeah, I do. Speaking for myself, Brian, I mean, is this something that I don't want to speak on you?
No, it's definitely like you have an expectation when you're professional, where like you have an expectation for what your clients product's going to look like, and I don't know. I don't put as much like effort in, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't have my fancy lights here at home to do this, but I definitely feel like I have to reach a certain threshold or a bar of quality to put anything out at all. If I do put something out, it's got it. Like I have those 2 orangutan videos where I just basically shot with my phone. I feel like that's acceptable. But if I'm going to go through the trouble of recording A-roll and putting B-roll on it, it's got to be a banger. And who has time for that? It's so hard.
It is, and it's it puts perfectionism, and that's a term that is difficult because I don't know about perfectionism as much it is maybe creativism, where we have a vision that we want to hold on to so much. And the question is we holding on to it for ego? Or are we doing it because we want to do it? So if it's for ego, then of course it's about how others are going to see it. And we are all wrapped up into what others think of what I do. So I have to do it this way. And now we generally don't enjoy things when we do things for ego because you're doing it for somebody else, really, in the end. Mm-hmm. But if we're doing it because we have this vision and we really want to do it, I've come to the conclusion that that's why I do it. And I shot some B-roll recently where I'm like, I did it for myself. Now, I ended up questioning whether or not other people would enjoy it as much as me. But then at the end of the day, that's not really the point. We're supposed to do these things for ourselves. And if it hurts your videos, and that's something down the road you can discuss, and there's always nuance. But I battle it. And
Mike, me.
And then there's John, who's like, no, and I respect it because John's really good about saying, I get it. That's all important. But what is really important too is getting out, helping other people, getting yourself discovered.
I mean, I I
he's
feel like I feel what you guys feel. Like I want to be better at things, and I try to get better. And I think what's hard for you guys is that you're both very creative. You both know what looks good. Brian is in a field of that professionalism.
Good night,
So-
Patrick. Thanks for chopping in, man.
Yeah,
Great to
thanks.
hear from
Thanks.
you. I'm so glad you're back safe and everything.
Thanks, Patrick. And for Brian, I could see how it would hit home because this guy's producing professional
Right,
stuff,
right.
and then he's got to come back and feel like he has to reel it back because this is not what he has at his house, and so now he's just working with what he has at the house, and now he has to feel that possible pressure that I feel like he puts on himself. But now people are looking at him because he's in that field. But I don't.
Ryan, how much pressure are you? I'm sorry, John.
I was just going to say I don't think he has to feel that way. Me personally, and it's only because I say this like half sarcastic and half serious. My stuff is like a lot of the video just kind of sucks. it's not great,
not
you know. I'm trying to do the best I can, but it's if I can get the information out and the audio sounds pretty good, and I can edit the scenes where they're not sloppy, and I'm happy enough to get it out there, and I'm always surprised of any kind of view I get out of it. So
I think my approach, it's not a gamble, but it's one of those things where you have to have faith that you will follow through on what you set out to do. So your approach reeks evidence, it reaches results that can be touched. And that, in the end of the day, cannot be denied. Okay, so Brian and I do not have the views, the video count, the discoverability, the net, right? So I say, no, let me finish though, because I say I'm okay with that. I'm going to take a little more extra time up front to learn things that I want to be able to do, which was shooting really good B-roll, understanding angles, understanding what I'm dealing with software, and getting in touch with a camera that I never knew existed in my life. And then I put all those systems in place. And if that works out, I should be able to put together the videos of vision that I see in a very timely basis. But I have to have faith that I'm not just fooling myself, that I know I can learn the skills to do that. But am I just talking smack, or am I going to follow through? I am going to follow through. But I mean, you have to say, am I just buying time because I don't really want to actually expose myself?
I would hope not. But the thing is,
not. But people do it.
If you're there's nothing wrong with the way you're doing it. And if you follow through of exactly what you're saying, then it all works into your favor in the long run, because
it's a long game. It's a long game that I'm playing that I feel, and it's just me, saying, for me, I need to do it this way or I won't enjoy doing the videos. Like John, what's so personal about John is he'd be like, hey guys, and you feel the energy. Right? I feel connected to John when John puts out the hey guy. Whenever time he says hey guys, I feel like, okay, John's talking to me. Let's watch a video. I wish I had that. I don't have that type of charisma on that level. Mine is more snarky, kind of dry wit, trying to build a story, which is ridiculous, but like I built a story around the Gold XLR review. I like that. But I have to find ways to do that quick because there's a lot to it, right? Now you can do it. Brian, what I wonder about is, do you feel honestly the added pressure that we don't have of having peer pressure? So if you start putting out videos, do you feel beyond friends and family and new people, which is already a burden sometimes on our psyches, not for some like John, who has absolutely no worries. But for real humans who aren't robots, I'm kidding, John. Do you feel the extra burden of going, God, I work with people, I have Emmys. This is something if I put out, it doesn't reach a certain level, this is not going to work out for me.
I mean, there is a little added stress in that I need to do good work or it takes my credibility away, you know, and I mean, you can't remove the 8 regional Emmys that I've won or whatnot. And
I said 7. He meant he's right. It's 8.
But I just won one last year, so I'll forgive you for that. But there is like, I know that my friends in this field's hypercritical too. Like you probably get the sense that like a lot of the creators and people in this field are not always super supportive. It's more, and that's kind of, it's been like that for a really long time, where everyone's trying to take something away from somebody and take them down and not build them up. And it's that kind of environment is just really toxic, and you'll see it for like some of the bigger creators and stuff. But I've been able to kind of float underneath it for the most part. But you do worry, like, if I start producing things that aren't up to my standard, is that going to take my credibility away? Because I mean, this is more than just fun for me because I'm in the field. If somebody's going to look up, I mean, my YouTube channel is my name. If someone looks that up, what are they going to say? Do I want to hire this person?
This ends up being for you, actually, in a way, a portfolio for
I mean, everything I do is a portfolio for this. So I have to balance my kind of quirky personality and kind of like the silly things I want to do with being a professional. And so I mean, it's a melding, and I think I struggled with that for a long time. But I've come to kind of terms that I can be quirky and still like produce high quality things and still put myself out there. So I it's taken a while, but it's all starting to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought is, though, if you ever felt that it was a judgment on your name professionally, you can always just start a YouTube channel under Joe Schmo and just, throw stuff out and see how it sticks, and watch yourself grow and see where it goes. Delete that if you wanted to, and then say, okay, I got my experience, I got where I am. Because listen, there's no doubt you're going to have a certain amount that transitions to YouTube, and then you're going to have the other half that doesn't transition. For instance, like not having all that professional equipment at your fingertips, and it's going to be an assortment of things that you could put together. But then again, I think it's going to come down to the content, and it doesn't come down to how awesome your picture is going to look, how awesome everything is. It's going to be like, this is the guy I like to watch, and it's either they're going to watch it or they're not going to watch it. And to be honest with you, and I don't know how you feel about this, Jeff, but I'm tired of people saying that our background looks good. I don't want to hear that anymore, to be honest with you. I want to hear that they like the stuff that's coming out of our mouth. I want to like it that they're here because they can learn something. I don't want to have them say we look good or we sound good, which is, what they're going to say now, because we just switched to vMix on some days. And so the picture's going to look better, but it's not important, to be honest with you. I really want to have people come up and show up and be there for the things we're discussing.
All right. Ultimately, we want people to go, I learned something on the channel. And I think they do. I think that it's a default that people go through where they're like, it looks good. And I think it's kind of a sign that getting a good background is actually very difficult. There are a lot of variables in that equation to make that kind of hard. And I still think that I want to say the average person, and even people who know what they're doing on some level, getting a look, the vibe that works is not easy. Brian is no amateur, right? We've established that. And yet I know that he has struggled and dabbled over his background. I love his background tonight, but I also met Brian in April, and it's a different background. My background's different. It's taken a long time to get to this maturation. It's really tough. And in fact, we got a question on that. And of course, I popped that screen open huge, and so now I can't get to where I want to be.
I love
what
that.
background lighting are you using, John? Now, I'm going to assume you don't mean Beirut John, and it is John, not Paul.
John.
Because you're what background? He's using, I believe that's a 40-watt yellow ball.
John's just being sarcastic.
Tungsten. It's tungsten.
So go one thing.
Yeah, I know. I see it.
Yeah,
Hang on,
that.
Mikey. I do too. And I just want to say hi, GigaArt. Love that Melbourne is checking in. Love looking at the 3D on my screen. Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
Loving the colors, just tuning in, listening to them. That's so sweet. That
Thanks.
makes my heart
Thanks.
huge.
We love seeing you.
And Mikey says that's what drew me to both streams, that I like the content and the presentation. And there probably isn't a better compliment than that for people who do what we're doing.
Right. It doesn't get any better than that. And the problem is it's whether or not people want to come into this stream and learn those things, because when you're a new streamer or a new YouTuber, and it's hard for people to take criticism. It's hard to look at themselves and see what they need to improve. When I look at myself, I know I need to improve in every single aspect. There isn't one aspect that I think is perfect, but I just don't let it hold me back. I just try to keep on moving forward. And the thing is, the things we talk about, the little nuances, the little changes, everything we're talking about has the ability to help every single person that's out there that's new. And whether or not they take it and they feast on it, or they just throw it to the wayside to be here to meet other people, that's their choice, you know. And not that coming into a stream isn't now how you don't meet other people and you meet a community of people, and that's all great. But it's also, it's what you can take in and it's what you can actually give back too that matters. And then you realize that all has something to do with your success.
It does. So, I mean, I'm going to leave it at that because it's all very true. And I think we've talked about that a lot, and our hopes as we push forward and what we want to do and people to glean. And what we want are these type of lovely people, but these comments that we're reading right here.
It does not get any better. Like
those are the ones where I go, it doesn't get any better. And I do clip these. Like, so one of the reasons I save if you go in our Notion, we have a shared Notion, John and I have a live stream set up, and he looks at me cross-eyed, but I have saved every single live stream and the content and what we do into Notion. And one of the reasons I'm going to do that is I do go back and I'm going to timestamp all these comments. And even the stupid llama jokes. And because at some point I do want to like kind of montage all these and show them, because these are the things that you do and why you do it. And Mikey, so this really made my night. I really appreciate that comment and you stepping in and letting us know that.
Yeah, like a 6 month. I know you talked about like when we have some kind of year or a 6 month thing, and we look back. And
I was going to do a 3 month, but it turned out 3 months is honest. And John, you do realize, I think on Thursday will be our 30th live stream.
Yeah, I was checking that out. So that's
insane. Thank you, Brian.
It's awesome, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, and I always learn something every time I'm on in the chat watching you guys too. So it's
we do. It is interesting. Like John and I talk about it after the show. We usually meet for about an hour or three, and we're like, "Did you realize this?" Like, I appreciate that, Brian, because we learn too. Because turns out we don't know everything. And so many people that walk into the chat are actually very skilled and talented. And so that's one of the things we're trying to figure out, like keep doing is to kind of create the platform that moves around and sets the plate for people to pass that information along.
Yeah.
And on that, do you want to dip into, I mean, right now we're already deep into our stream, like an hour and a half. Do you want to touch on some of the stuff that we talked about, like frame rates, anything? Is this something, John, that you want to be a part of, or you want to?
I'm going to probably head out and call it a day for me.
Okay.
My family's here, but I just wanted to say quickly, like Brian is like our foundation of our stream. You know, it's him being there and him things bouncing off of him, and it's not whether we always agree, which probably 90% of the time we do, and it's the other 10% that he still pushes on and he has an opinion on, and I love that because I don't like people that just all agree on everything, because you always need that other person saying something to bring the difference in, because once you have oppositions and then it helps formulate a really smart answer to why you may do something, it makes it so understandable to everybody and it makes sense.
You know what friction does? Friction creates diamonds. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you need sometimes
pressure.
Yeah. Well, okay. We didn't need to get into a science lab.
No, I'm just saying you need
the coal.
I know what you. Okay, you're right. So you kind of need that back and forth. You need that pressure of
someone giving you a real answer.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Right. And then it's like, okay, then maybe like he says that, and then maybe someone walks away and they say, let me think about this.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it may change somebody's mind. Just like when we talk about cameras and we say not every camera is built for the same person. You want a hybrid camera that's cheap, that's pretty effective, okay, that you have a viewfinder that has a touchscreen that is great for people having tech problems, right? We say M50. Otherwise, we say the new ZVE 10 that came out is like the thing to get. But it's just like it can't be cookie cutter for every single person. And so I think we do a heck of a job of trying to help people, not all just the same cookie. You know what I mean? So
Agreed, 1,000%. And as Marlene says, always learning without a G, because it's very Southern. Makes you come back. I didn't know your mom was from Alabama. That's pretty cool. I love it. I'm from Mississippi, so this is my language.
On that note, I'm going to dip out, and I
right.
I appreciate the both of you.
Oh, so good to
much.
see you. And it worked out so well. I'm amazed at your setup.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's incredible.
I'm
It's
glad-
just, yeah.
you know what it is too? Like, I want to keep this thing going as long as we can without missing. You know what I mean? So-
And that's when I look back to the streams, that's the first thing that got me was of all the things in real life or technology that could have tripped us up. We never gave in. There were days, I know that and there were days where I was like, I can't do this. I can't go on tonight. We're just skip it. No one will care. And we didn't. And to be at 30 shows and 3 months in or more now without missing is fun. And I'm like you, I want to keep it going without missing.
That's it.
There are ways to do things and make that happen. And if I have to go somewhere and I can't, I'll pre-record something and just put it on you, just kind of pretend like I'm there and talk to me.
Have a video of you just nodding in a loop.
This is not easy. Everybody that's done this knows that. And there are a lot of people who try this and it falls off pretty quick. And I get why.
Dude, I'm just so happy that my Wi-Fi, hotel
It's
Wi-Fi.
incredible. Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't even watch Netflix when I go to hotels, and you somehow manage to upstream into here. That's incredible.
So,
Very nice.
all right,
So,
guys.
great to see you.
Great. I'll be watching, and we'll talk
Yeah.
to you soon. And I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Awesome, man. We'll see you then. We'll see you on
Thanks,
Thursday.
Thanks so much.
Oh, be
All
well,
right.
John.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Get out of here.
I'm impressed by that mic. I mean, it sounds really
Mike's
good.
sounding good. And I think there's a little metallic to it, kind of like mine, by the way. But I think he's benefited from having such a good sound studio with all that carpeting and all that blank. Like having good acoustic treatment is so important for these mics. That's one of the reasons I'm going to put acoustical panels up, because just to try to kill some of this reflection. But we're running late. We don't need to stay forever. But you know what? You and I had talked and chatted about some things. We should dip into at least maybe the primal thing. And if somebody's here and learns something a little bit along the way before we head out, that's great. If not, you and I will have a good time, because we always do. But we've mentioned it, and the truth of it is you've done some things with film, and you've done okay with there. You get your 8 regional Emmys.
Yeah, for sure.
This is your life. This is what you do.
It's my passion too. So it's nice. Not many people can say that they do what they want, they enjoy what they do, and I'm very happy and blessed to be able to do that.
So this is your passion quest, and you're actually able to get on your quest every day, as opposed to some people can only do it on the weekends if they're lucky. You feel like you can get out there and do it all the time, and I suppose in a way that kind of makes what we're doing here a little bit tricky, because beyond the peer pressure we talked about, there's also that issue of, am I making what I do that's fun more work when I'm trying to do something that I enjoy? I don't want to take that and kind of make everything a grind.
Right. I mean, it is hard. I imagine somebody who was, oh, sorry.
I wanted to say goodnight to John as he's heading out. I'm sorry.
Night, John. But I'm sure, if you guys think about whatever it is you do for a living, if you do it all day, and then when you come home, maybe that's the last thing that you're really thinking about doing. Even if you really like it, it can definitely put a damper on that. It's finding that time where you're not just I'm done, I'm drained,
right?
To keep pushing the ball forward and doing this kind of stuff. So
it's tough, and it's a pacing thing, and it's all those things. So let's just get chat settled here a little bit. John's going to bed. Thank you so much, John, actually, for stopping. I really appreciate the words and support. And going through the war with you today. And oh, John, showing him a good time. I already miss John a little bit, kind of.
He hasn't gone anywhere. He's like right there.
No, he's at the pool right now. Aaron, it's so great to see you. I hope you are well. We're going to dip in a little bit here before we head out. And I think, Brian, we had a pretty big platform of discussion we really wanted to talk about. And we knew once we got with John and we had because we have such fun, we probably would just be like, let's just have fun. And we did. So we might have to do a stream at some point where you and I kind of clean that up and maybe talk a little bit deeper. But it's okay if we talk a little bit about it now for people who might be here yet and for ourselves. We wanted to get into mixed frame rates for editing. Anybody who's dealing with editing, mixed resolution. But I think mixed resolution, you would agree, we don't need to necessarily get so deep into that, because if anybody's worked with photos, it's really along the same concept, right? If you're dealing with high resolution photo and you put it into a canvas that's low resolution, I think we've all experienced that, or in reverse, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of happens there? So if we all had that happen, we're like, oh, I got this great thing I'm doing, and you're going to drop this cool image, and it turns out the image is like 50K, really tiny, and we're trying to drop it in on something that's like 400 megabytes big, and it ends up being like this big on our canvas, and we can't blow it up because the resolution is that good. It's not really any different when we're dealing with 4K footage versus something that maybe, I guess 1920 at 1080. I mean, that's going to change things, right? If I drop it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very similar. Like if you have a high resolution camera, or you have a really good scan of a film negative, and you go to make a 5x6 or 9x10, you can crop way in on that image and still it'll look good. But the minute that you get that 30 by 50-inch picture, then it starts getting stretched. So then it starts getting a little softer. And it's the same thing. It's like if you shoot in 4K and you're delivering in 1080p, it gives you a lot of latitude to crop in, or if you just want a higher quality image, you could always scale it down.
Well, and you and I have talked, and I know that John at some point, I don't know, he may have changed his mind or not. I don't know. He's not here, so I'm just going to speak how I want for him. I'm just kidding. You and I are believers that if you can shoot it at the highest resolution of 4K, even and maybe RAW if you really want, that's probably the way to go, because you have the most clay to work with, and you can always work down. You can't reverse engineer that very easily, or if at all. So if you've ever, the benefit is if you're working on in DaVinci or Premiere and you have a timeline sequence that's at 1920 by 1080, standard HD, right, for YouTube, and you drop a 4K footage or clip into that, yes, it's going to overwhelm that, and you've got to shrink that down, but you have that. So that, there's no, but now if you do the other way around, you drop you have a 4K timeline, and you drop something that's at 1920, then it's about half. It's going to be about half the canvas, as I understand it. Now you can blow that up and get
fourth, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? But
yeah.
Can you, I don't know. I've seen people blow that up and get away with it, but you are kind of losing, obviously, detail.
Yeah, the trick if you're going to do that is to add a sharpening filter, just slightly, and then you can get away with it. Especially if you're trying to mix formats. If you need to put some crappy or low resolution footage in a higher resolution timeline, it really is adding a little bit of saturation, a little bit of sharpening to try to even it out, and you may even take it away from the high end footage to make it match or make it feel more organic.
I wonder if so often, I think editing is such a weak link for so many people. Now, there are a lot of people who get into this where they are editors or filmmakers like you, work in the field, and so for them, that's obviously their strength, their strong point. But for a lot of us, we're coming at it from maybe we know Photoshop, which helps. But they are different animals working with video, and I've learned this the hard way. I'm very good at Photoshop, for example, and that has worked in my favor. But we have discussed the big issue of frame rates, and I think frame rates really throws people. We understand it to a concept of that, but can you just give us a quick little hit of how would you describe frame rates to people when you're speaking of 24, 30, 60, 120? What exactly are we talking about here with an FPS?
So resolution's obviously the size of, if you're thinking about them as pictures, like that resolution is the size of the picture, but frame rate is how many pictures are in a second. So like what we consider, what we normally see at the movie theater is 24 frames per second, and that is the that was the magic number that like we came up with, that it's like the lowest you can go and trick your eye into looking like normal motion. And it's and then 30 is, just a little bit more, and that's pretty much become the standard for most video formats. Actually, back in the day, 30 frames or 60 fields, depending on how you look at it, was normal tape video speed. So that's where that came from. So 24 movies, 30 video, and then 60 is more like it's like the when you turn on your the interpolation on your TV and everything looks soapy and looks like completely different. That's kind of like a technology that allows you to go even further. It used to be, you'd have these multiple, like the 60 is like, it's a higher frame rate, and it looks different, but you can use that 60 to slow down your footage and put that interpolate that into a 24 or a 30 frame timeline and get super slow motion. And then the 120 is just like that on steroids.
So we get into like the fallout of making the choice, but just in that, you're right. So we're just talking about the amount of frames, the amount of slices per second that each is containing, and that is important. And as you said, the 24 was the one. It's what we see with cinema. It's really the most comfortable for our eyes that we're used to, which is why a lot of people like you and I still use that. It has a little bit more of a cinema feel to it, a little more of a maybe a kind of a documentary feel to it, and so it kind of gives it a vibe where you start getting to 30 or higher, you start running into like a much sharper thing. You start getting a news feed type, like it's really sharp. And if you get even sharper, it could be considered like sporting events. You're going to use you're going to use something high FPS to capture fast footage in sporting events, things like that. But for shooting cinema, what we do, or what we're trying to do for video, a lot of us choose that 24, and it's been kind of tried and true over the years. Now, before cinema, let's say we'll go back into the Charlie Chaplin days. Charlie Chaplin, we had the stuttering and everything that was going on. We see that weird choppiness. What was the frame rates being used back then? They weren't 24.
So yeah, they're much lower, closer to 15 frames a second, and it's
half,
yeah. No, if you go back and look at those old reels, or even like old film reels, it's all less than 24, and it definitely has this nostalgic feeling to it. But like it's back then, that's just what it looked like. So, we're lucky to have all these options now.
And we don't have to. I mean, we kind of discussed a little bit, you and I was going to look into it deeper, but the idea of people say it's 24 frames, and of course it's not. It's really 23.976.
Right.
Is there any way to explain that without putting people to sleep? Is that possible, or is that something that is too complex to even really?
Well, I'm not going to go Gerald Undone on you guys for this, but I will say just in general that the reason that those all exist is because there used to be broadcast standards, and they're all based on tape, because everything was being recorded to tape, and to get a standard that would work on tape that would look like 24, they had to basically shoot the same frame multiple times so that when it plays back, it is only 24 frames per second, or that 23.96 or whatever it turns out to be. And that's why it's like that. It's because it was based on the tape speeds and what they could do with tape. But now with internet being standard, it's not as important, but we still live on the foundation of the standards that were built before. So you can do a true 24p now and put it on the internet, and everyone can do it just fine. But it's standard to still keep using the older techniques.
And people, sometimes we don't realize, and some do, that obviously, we talk about 30, but it's not really 30. It's 29 point whatever. And then a 60 is 59. You see that. But obviously we just round up because what's the point? Like for the most part, we're just kind of rounding that up. And the tried and true speak in those decimal numbers often. It kind of tripped me up for a while until I figured that out. I just want to step in here, and GigaArt says she described to you, Brian. She subscribed to you at Brian Paul, and I think that's really sweet. Thank you so much, GigaArt. You both are very talented. GigaArt, if you've not been to her channel, Brian is incredibly talented with digital art. And it's actually a lot of fun to watch. She is also listening and learning, and she is from Melbourne. Awesome. And I love that. And that's pretty cool. And so where we're going with this is this idea of different frame rates. So now you and I, and a lot of people, we do film our normal, we call it A roll, which would be your primary roll, where you're speaking and talking to the camera, and you're going to kind of play around with that and add in B roll, right? So that's our A roll, our primary roll. And you and I shoot, whether it's probably 4K, that's what I do. And we shoot at the 24, right? And that's going to be our foundational time sequence, whether it's Premiere or DaVinci. And I use DaVinci, you use Premiere.
Yeah, that's definitely what I get. I've done all the different frame rates and everything, but that's what I come down to. There's a lot of really good reasons to shoot in 24.
Give me some pros then.
Well, so we haven't gotten into motion blur yet, but so this is kind of complicated. But you basically, when you do 24 frames a second and you have it at the appropriate shutter speed, you actually can let more light into the sensor if you're shooting 24 than if you were 30 or 60. As you do that, it cuts the amount of light that you can get in with just everything standard. And then a lot of times, cameras like the Sonys, their data rates don't change drastically between 24 and 30 and 60. And if you think about it practically, that's less information that's recording at a higher quality in that 24. So like you do get a little bump in quality. And my cameras particularly, which this is an A7 III, is a full frame camera. Its sensor resolution is 6K essentially, and it downsamples it inside that sensor to 4K, and then the 24 is what it's really dialed into. That 4K 24 is what it's dialed in to look at its best mode. So it really depends on the camera too. So like,
a camera can really set you up depending on what your intentions are. Right. As a creative or someone who shoots too. So you might want to choose on that. I know if, people talk about the Canon and the colors are so great, and Sony's had issues with that being kind of greenish and other problems over time. And yet their autofocus is great. So we've been on through all that stuff, but so that's interesting that the camera itself can be configured in a way that out of the box, it's actually primed for 4K at 24. Right. So that can set you up pretty good right out of the box, which is interesting.
And then you have some cameras like the C100, which is beautiful 1080p 30. It's just that is the best mode in that camera, so it just really just depends.
Now, the reason I fell into a lot of the frame rate issues because it wasn't something that I was very aware of. Now, there's no knock against 30. 30 is beautiful. A lot of people want to take 30 and use it, and there's a lot of good reasons to use 30. For me and you, that's not the case. And that's what's beautiful about this. You can pick and choose what you want to do. And what was really interesting and where I got into this is a need to shoot slow-mo. And there are different ways to shoot slow-mo, and a lot of it really can depend on how you're going to it's going to depend on what you choose to shoot to get that slow-mo. And this is where the discussion really kind of falls in. And it doesn't matter whether you're using Premiere or DaVinci or whatever. The same thing really kind of applies. Now, you may get the results differently. So let's just say, for example, what are different ways that we can get good slow-mo? And I just want to say, from my own experience, I know the first thing I want to say to you is I had no idea that shooting at 120, 60, and 30 were going to be so dramatic in the slow-mo world when I put it into my 24 sequence. So
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, do you want to hit on that and kind of talk about it, or do you want to, I mean,
So I mean, like you can even get a very subtle slow motion effect recording in 30 and interpreting the footage into 24. So and then 60, I can't remember exactly the what the math all turns out to be, but the 60 is really slow, and then you go like 120, and it's like almost like when you're shooting, it's almost like the world is still.
yeah.
So and if you go much beyond that, then you're talking like bullet time.
I was actually surprised. I think to take a 30 footage and drop it in 24. Now let's for the people that don't know, let's talk about what was physically happening. And I realize we're talking about digital here, but it's physically happening. What is happening when I have a 24 timeline sequence in my editor? I have my A roll out, and I went and shot. And this used to make me afraid, like, oh my God, I'm going to break everything. Now we're talking about mixed frame or FPSs. So what happens? Or what are the options really? Because I think you can control this, right? So if you have a 30, 60, 120, what happens when you drop those higher rates of frames onto a lower frame rate timeline?
So most editors, no matter what you shoot it at, it's going to try to show it to you in real time. So when you drop it into your sequence, it's just going to look like normal footage. And so what you have to do is you have to tell the editor, like, no, this is this is slow motion footage, like, or this is high frame rate. I want it to play back like at 24.
Can I have it? Can I drop a 60 FPS clip onto a 24 and have it not be slow mo?
Yeah. No, you can just, if you drop that 60 onto the 24, the computer is going to discard the information and play it back at 24 unless you tell it to do it otherwise. Okay,
so I think that's the thing. You're safe if you shoot at 30, 60, 120 and you want to output at 24. You can drop it in, but they're just going to pull. Again, we talked about frames being the amount of frames per second. So obviously if it's 30, 60, let's just use 60. So if it's at 60 frames per second, it's going to know to pull out enough to equal 24. So it looks to your eyes, it's exactly the same frame rate, right? You don't have to do anything. It knows to do that. That's kind of done by default. I think for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And so you're safe. That's cool. There's no harm. Now, you might get into a situation where you're dropping 30, 60, 120 onto that timeline, and it might be set at 4K as opposed to, so the resolution, you might have to deal with that, but that's more about squeezing, just dragging it down to the canvas or maybe creating it bigger.
We'll say the only thing that you're losing is that your numbers on your shutter speed are going to be different. So you're going to be over that 180 degrees.
Because again, when we shoot, we use the 180 degree rule, which would be basically double, right?
Double your frame rate. Yeah.
Our frame rate. So if we're shooting at 24, the closest I can get is 50 on my camera.
Right.
But 30, we put it to 60. We know all that, right?
Yeah.
And then 60, 120.
So if you're shooting at 60 and it needs to be in your shutter's at 120.
Thank you,
when you play it back at 24, then your shutter's off. But if you tell the editor to play this back at 24 in slow motion, then that shutter angle will recorrect itself and it'll look normal again.
So the disadvantage to just doing it without doing it in a slow, if you're just going to say drop the 60 FPS into 24 and let it be a 24 normal speed, then the trade-off there is you're going to have a little bit offness with the shutter.
Yeah, it's just going to be the blur, and it's StreamYard's going to manipulate it. But if you think about like a high shutter scene, think about like Saving Private Ryan, where they have like the bullets and the bombs going off, and
that beat scene at the beginning of the movie, which was so jarring.
Yeah, just that uneasy feeling that you get is because the motion blur isn't what you're used to seeing, and where you're typically, filmmakers will change the shutter angle or the rate of the shutter to manipulate your, or to make you feel something here or there. And then that's just one way of doing it. If you slow it down, if it's too slow, then you get this dreamy effect where everything smears. And then if it's too high, then it's you get like doubles of your as you move around, because you actually see where the shutter cuts the image.
And it's incredible because that was one of the first movies I'd seen where it was manipulating that affected me. Like, we use music a lot, or you use maybe color grading to elicit a certain emotion or feeling about even uncomfortableness, right? You see that in all the time with music, for example, and like scary movies, they use scary music. But that shutter, the stuff that they did with that was so jarring to people. I don't think people even realized that was what was making them so uncomfortable, was the visual manipulation of how that was shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it was very effective.
Yeah.
Did very well with it. So I don't know. Is that something that can be corrected or improved upon in post, or is that just what it is at that point once you've decided to drop that higher resolution down into the 24?
So if there's anyone in the audience that knows a way to fix that, that's one thing that I can't change.
Okay.
So
I mean, let's hear it if everybody knows.
Yeah, no, yeah. I love the way to, maybe there is a way, but I definitely don't.
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I haven't found it yet. I mean, it's funny. You can fix so many things. You can fix chromatic aberration. You can fix rolling shutter, but that's motion blur. Like, if you shoot something with your iPhone out in the sun, it cranks that shutter up so that you're not getting too much light into it.
Right.
That look can't be erased.
That's what it is at that point. That's been. So I want to take it a next step further about slow motion and really some cool things about that. I have really come to love slow motion when you're talking about trying to do something different with B-roll, creating a little bit of a cinematic feel. And I'm really impressed with the power of that. And what that can elicit. I mean, that's another way. We talk about using the shutter, Private Ryan, but using, and I should say shutter angles, right? I mean, that's really the appropriate.
You have photography, television, film, all use different terms. So they're all interchangeable. It's just depending, know your audience, who you're talking to. I like shutter angle, and if you get a cinema camera, a lot of times they'll have the option to set the shutter angle, and then exactly what you're changing, and it stays that way no matter if you're in quick motion or slow motion, and that's really nice.
Okay, so before we talk about that and getting into using that approach for slow motion, Aaron was saying, what is the best for the 6000? I'm using 24 FPS. Now, I don't know anything about the 6000. I have the 5100. I mean, it seems to me it would be a fine fit for that camera. I don't know.
So I haven't used this A6000, but I have a friend who does use that camera, like or did at one point, and I don't know if they shot at 24p or if they shot at 30. If you are shooting in 24 and you like it, then maybe try a couple other frame rates, and if it doesn't make a difference to you, or if it looks worse, then I think you're spot on.
I mean, from what I've seen, I would stay with 24. I think I think Aaron is much like us in how he wants to approach and elicit, and it's working for him. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try, because you should always try different things. I think that's the best advice in the world. But Aaron, whatever you are doing, my friend, and I say this with all seriousness, you look amazing, and it matches so well with the set that you've got going on, your choices in music. You're very tasteful as a presenter, and so for me, I think you're dead on with the 24 FPS or what you're doing right now. But that's just, it's my take.
And I don't have any reason to believe otherwise. Knowing your gear, it's something that for me is kind of fun to go and try different things. Just, maybe just test, like, well, maybe I like this better on my gear. But I have no reason to think that the 24 wouldn't work on that camera.
It seems to be working really well, and maybe the problem would be if you wanted to do something actually higher, it would be a struggle for that camera, considering how old it is. Who knows? Samantha is around. Oh, she's saying hi to everybody. John is on. John was here earlier, and we kid him. We say he's in Beirut, but he's not. He's on vacation with the family. He dropped in. We had a good time with him, and he stepped out. So we have Brian Paul in here tonight to talk about different things. And we're going to talk a little bit. We're talking a little bit about mixed frame rates and editing, and what that can do for you and against you. And I wanted to say hi to Ash while I have a chance, and it's really good to see you. Saw some cool things coming up. I know you're doing with Samantha, actually, you're starting to do a co-host thing, which looks very exciting for, it was specific, kind of like working people, working moms, but basically, hey, just go watch it. That's my attitude about it. Jesus.
No, he's still here. I told you he wasn't going anywhere. There's no way.
You just he's like, just when they think,
he's in the pool and he's holding the phone up and he's like watching. It's like, this is what I'm doing.
There could be a hurricane at 100 miles an hour. He'd be just hanging onto the pole for dear life. He's like, I gotta check this stuff. I love John because he puts up with my stupidity. But Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. And I hope you are well, my friend. And I hope things are going well in editing. We are actually talking a little bit about mixed frame rates at the moment. And what I want to ask you about and talk to you about, and I have a little bit of a really undervalued probably a demo here that we could show. And a lot of people here know this already, but for the people that don't, or if we want to expand on some of the little nuances that we can talk about it. But one of the advantages of using a 24 beyond the feel of the vibe of it is the ability to take any footage above that from 30 to 60 to 120 and drop that in. Yes, you could drop it in normal and make it, use it like normal, but to drop that in and use that as like a slow-mo and to elicit a B-roll vibe with that. And again, I want to just harken. I didn't realize how beautiful 30 looks at a 24 when you do that. Now, we should probably talk a little bit, and I have a little bit of a screenshot where we can kind of look at the Premiere version of this. But if people don't know, if you have your A timeline, you set your sequence at 24 FPS, and you bring in a clip that's 120, let's say, you have to make a decision. I mean, you can drop it down and just have it say, okay, make it 24, and it's going to drop the frames. It's going to be in this 24. But if you want to make it slow-mo, in Premiere, for example, you have to go in and you have to have it interpretate the footage, right? So if it's 120, you have to say, please interpret this at 24. What's going on there that's different than what we just did when we dropped it, or when we just said, I make this 24? What's the subtle difference here?
So it's instead of looking at as like you're trying to take different frame rates and make them match, you're telling it, no, I shot this intentionally at this other frame rate. And so then it's like, oh, I get it. And then when you take it in, then it's like it's going to be at the slow motion speed, and it's going to be much longer. You're going to have much more clip. And there's an editing trick that if you just don't quite have enough B-roll to cover something, you can slow it down just like I don't know, like 10%, and make it a little bit longer so it covers your edit. And that's kind of a fun little editing tip.
So let's discuss this. This is a little shout out of Premiere for people who use Premiere. And so this was a file, I believe it was at 120, and it was dropped into 24 FPS. A timeline or a file, a time sequence, I should call it. Now you have to make a choice. You're going to use the frame rate from the file, but you can assume this rate. And I believe this is what we call interpreting the footage, right? It says at the top, in fact, you'll see it right up at the top here. It says interpret footage. So that would be the general term that's used. And so you could set this at the 23976, and we've done that. And Brian, what is going to happen now?
Well, when you do that, there's going to be a change, like in the bin. So like wherever you're holding it, it'll change over and tell you that it's different now. And then you drag that to your sequence, and it's going to be when you play back, it's going to be extremely slow. And if there's audio attached to it, it's going to slow down the audio. It's going to everything, and it's going to be a lot longer. So
you're going to want to get rid of that audio. And this is the thing we probably should touch on at least. And I know it's a bigger discussion, but the idea of being intentional with your shots, especially your B-roll shots, because we have so many choices to make here. We could obviously shoot everything at 4K 120 and then go, okay, we're going to deal with that. The problem, well, as I understand it, when I drop that into and I interpret that in my 24, it's so slow. It's brutal slow. And as beautiful as that is, when I'm trying to pace things, that became a little bit of a problem for me. And as I understand, it becomes a little bit difficult in post to take that and kind of start to make it go faster, make that slow-mo move faster. So, right? I mean, that's not really something you want to do.
Well, so you can't. So if you have, if you've done just interpreted like what you were saying, a 60 frame file, and you're interpreting it to 24, you can speed that up just with like the time warps tool.
Can you use the duration? Is that where we might use duration?
Yeah, you could use duration, yeah. And what that's going to do is it's just going to discard frames, and so it's going to make it less long. You can also you can time ramp it with keyframes.
Yes,
you'll see that. You'll see that a lot in slow motion, where let's say you have a slow motion of a skateboarder doing a trick. Well, you have all that lead in front of it and all the lead in the end. You pick up where you want the actual slow motion to start, and you put a keyframe, and then you put a key, and then, or you can actually just cut the clip if you have the razor tool and just speed up the front and part of it, and then you'll get that nice ramping effect where it will come up, it'll do the trick, and then it'll go fast again.
Let's I went through the whole rigmarole of doing this. Let's just, for the people who didn't see it, let's do a quick example of what happens when we interpret. Now in DaVinci, it's a little bit different than what you would do in Premiere, but it's the same idea. And yes, Robert uses Final Cut Pro and Premiere. They're real beasts, for no doubt. I love Premiere from everything I've seen, but I've dipped into DaVinci, and that's kind of my thing. Maybe someday I'll change my mind, but that's where I'm at the moment.
DaVinci is so powerful, and the with their free version, the cost of entry for anybody, it's insane. Like it can do things that 10 years ago, only the highest end stuff could do. It's just amazing.
So I had a short clip here that was shot. The clip is 120. The time sequence is at 24 FPS. And so without doing anything, clearly this file, I know, maybe jittery because I've got a million things going on, but it's not. I'm going to just play it back and cache it a little bit. So obviously it's fine. It's 120, probably HD. Looks fine. Normal speed, and that looks great. So the trick, if you're in DaVinci, now if you're in Premiere, you would go into interpret footage, and you would just drop that to 24, and you're good to go. For DaVinci, you can right click and really go to just clip attributes, and you're going to see the video frame rate, which for some reason shows custom, and I'm not really sure why that is, but okay. But we drop that to 23, the same thing as our time sequence, 976, and we go okay. And now we should obviously be more, now we're in that beautiful slow motion. And it's really interesting how these, I mean, it's so easy how you can do this, and how amazing it can look. And you can create this great B-roll just by saying, hey, interpret the footage. And now you've talked about, you have hit on the fact that if that was a 60 FPS, I don't know, does the native, it'd be the 24. Is that the native when we talk about it? There's a native, and then there's I can't remember now.
So I mean, you have, I think you're talking about what you shoot it at is native, and then
there we go.
Whatever you interpret it as is the
at 120. Now, if that's obviously if that's 60, and I drop that in there, it's going to be half the slow motion, really,
right?
For the most part,
yeah.
And then 30, I guess half of that,
right? And
then we're getting closer to the original, the timeline of 24, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm just impressed that these editors do this so well. The question is, what is the best approach if you want to shoot B-roll?
Yeah.
If you go, oh, I might want to use slow-mo to really show a vibe and create B-roll. And it's like, now here we sit. How are we choosing how to shoot our B-roll now, right?
I mean, there's a lot of good thoughts on this, but when you think about your camera, really dictates what you want to shoot at. I've used a Sony FS7, which is a cinema camera, for a long time that can shoot, beautiful 4K 60p. And yeah, it could do a 1080p faster than 60, but that is the sweet spot for that camera's slow motion. And so and every camera like deals with it a little bit differently. The new A7S III shoots beautiful 4K 120, and that's what you want to shoot. And so the reason that you want to choose the best is that sometimes a camera won't it just won't shoot it'll be able to do something faster, but it won't shoot it in the with enough quality or enough depth to it, or at a lower resolution, or with a crop. It really just depends.
But my concern is that you can't take. Can I take 120 native and we have that 24? Well, we're going to assume it's always 24.
Yeah.
Okay, we know that we can interpret that to 24, and then we got that slow motion. But if I want that 120 to not be a 120 slow motion, but look like a 60 type slow motion, which would be half as much faster. Right. Is there any way I can do that with the 120? Am I safe for shooting it at the 120 and then trying to back it down, or is that not possible?
I mean, I think that if you're shooting at the best settings for your camera, you're safe. I think you can make 120 look like 60, and you can probably make 60 look like 120, but it's going to be, the computer is going to have to generate those frames because you can't go the other way. You can always go faster, but going slower is precarious.
You can take out actual material, but putting material in gets a little bit dicey.
But there's a good reason to shoot at 60 or 30 beyond what's best for your camera, and that's that if you need to take up less, if you're worried about taking too much space. If you have an A7S III and you're shooting 4K 120 all the time, that's a lot of data. When you don't always need to be spending and storing and processing all that data.
Time. You've got to move a higher footage, and so it really gets. It does, people use this a lot I've noticed in filming, pros use it a lot. Be intentional with your shots, especially your B-roll shots. Don't be out there just, willy-nilly. Now and we've talked about that. That doesn't mean take risk on the spot. That doesn't mean not to see something and try something. Right. But for your primary, get your primary first and then play around with the wild cards. Yeah. But there's another choice that can be made for cameras and people like I have on this Sony, for example, the S&Q setting, which is slow and quick, right? Mode. Yeah. And that specifically allows you to do what we just showed with the software, which is great, and it doesn't take too long to do. But you've got to pull the higher footage in, you got to get the clip, you got to drop, you got to interpret the footage. So there is some movements there. There is time, but you can use the slow and quick where you're building the slow motion right on the camera. And I did do this. I got the same effect, but without having to go through all this middle ground. So I used that, set it up. It was beautiful, right? And then you just bring that right into the 24 and you're good to go.
Yeah, you don't have to interpret it because what the camera's doing is it's doing all that in camera. So
you set that, right? Yeah. You set the setting for what you want it to interpret.
Right. And then you set it for what your sequence is going to be. And when you drop it in the sequence, you don't have to tell it to do anything because it's just slow right off the bat. And it takes up a lot less space on your card. It's less to store. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, like if you have a specific move in mind, and I definitely recommend people to shoot intentionally, it can save you a lot of time and space. And if you have a computer that's not as powerful, I mean, it can save a lot of processing too. So there's a lot of good reasons to use it.
but there's downsides to everything.
Oh yes.
Oh, and cue the minor chords. And as we know in this deal, it is a constant trade-off of so many things. And we've mentioned it, from the size of the files, which means time of moving, means stress on the CPU, time. And so being intentional, I think it's always cool. And so for a lot of my B shots recently, I knew I wanted slow-mo, but I was struggling because I don't know enough to know what I don't know. And so I thought, oh my God, do I shoot this in 120 S&Q at 24? And it's so slow. And that was my question earlier but now that is what I got. So you said earlier, if you shoot at 120 natively and you bring that in, you can cut that in half essentially, or figure out how to make that look to 60 because you still have the material.
Right.
On S&Q, you're throwing all that out and you are committing to what you're committing to, because now I have this 120 at 24 built into the file. I bring that down in my deal. There's no turning back, right?
I mean, so you've already tossed out so much information. So if you wanted to slow it down more or speed it up more, you're working on the in-between frames. Now the computer has to make more guesses, and that just means that the quality isn't as good.
Yeah, anytime you're making the computer guess, that's not going to work out.
Right.
Robert wanted to know what software do you use? Do you use just one, or do you multiply platforms?
Oh, so I originally learned in school how to work on Avid. And
sure. Yeah.
And actually, all my settings on all the editors I use are still Avid presets, and so I you can keep your settings and move software. I definitely recommend doing that because a lot of them have it preset in. If you learn on Final Cut, then you go to Premiere, you can import from Final Cut's keystrokes and stuff in. But so I've used many different editors. Like I said, I started on Avid because that's what they had at the PBS station I worked at. And then when HD came out, our Avids were not HD capable, so we started using Final Cut 7, which will use the HDV. And when HD is first coming out, it was really interesting because it mirrors so much of people saying 4K. Why would we ever want that? People are like, HD. Why is that? And I was still arguing with my station at the time to do 16:9 because we were still doing 4:3 on everything.
Oh
so it's typically PBS stations are about 10 years behind the curve here, but so it's funny, but so I can use.
You learn a lot though, being put in those positions though.
Yeah, definitely, and that stuff stays with you. Like being able to use multiple editors is a skill that you. It used to be that most editors were pretty identical. I mean,
there weren't
in function.
a ton of them really that fell in the same class. Are you a Premiere guy basically?
So I like Premiere, and I'll recommend Premiere for multiple reasons. Pretty much having the suite that it works flawlessly with After Effects and Audition. It's just amazing to be able to work with all those suites of stuff. So that's that, and I have access to that. And I used to pay for it, pay for the whole suite. It was worth the money to me because of all that stuff. But if I was somebody who didn't want to pay for that, or it wasn't feasible, I would be doing DaVinci. And because it is just
you
so
seem to be
powerful.
a decent fan of that as well. And I think they all have their merit. And I respect all of them. And Brian respects you at PBS. He said, you may be my hero, huge PBS fan. When I was younger, I just couldn't be bothered. And now I'm like, PBS is awesome. And it's just amazing how, with just a little awareness with it, you're like, there's some really amazing stuff on PBS. I wanted Mr. Doma. I hope you're around. Yeah, he likes your beard. Yeah. And I have to say, I have this thing where I want to reach out and just kind of grab it a little bit. I don't know why. And that would be assault probably. And I don't think that's probably appropriate.
No, probably
but, I just feel like I really need to do that. And Lalo says, yes, Brian, indeed. Even your no effort work is still much better than most of us who just truly don't know anything. But we do want to learn. And she does learn. And you have so much experience that can help. And Brian knows I'm a huge Brian fan. And I'm one of his biggest fans, and I champion him. And when he's really big, and I know he will be, He doesn't know yet. He better remember me.
And I'm just floored by all you guys, like what Lala is able to do, what John and Jeff do, and like just it's crazy to me that like how you can go out and just consistently make a show where like I've made shows like before, and I know how hard it is to get everything together, and so I'm just floored and super impressed that you guys all do this live. I mean, live is not easy. Things happen in live.
It's a very scary, netless process, isn't it? And, we have had that discussion, and I'm a kind of person that has to prep a lot, as you know, because you spent some time with me last night as we talked through some things, which was so much fun. But so kind of circling back, the S&Q setting. So we have the option. We can either interpret the footage that's high and bring it into the timeline and make that a slow and choose that. That gives us probably the most control, but it comes at a cost. And it comes at the cost of the file size, the time to move things around, the stress on the computer. And I love the idea of the S&Q. If you are intentional, I think the S&Q is beautiful. But it does come at the sacrifice of, the commitment. You are committing to that idea. Right. And I don't have a problem with that, but I do sometimes go, oh, would that footage have been something I could have put away and cataloged and used somewhere else in different types of modes? I could use it again, but it's going to be pretty much at what has been given me, and I've shot it, and that's okay too. I think it's just, it's one of those things you'll learn what works for you and what risk, I guess, you're willing to take, or what threshold. Robert's having to go to bed. He's got to get some sleep, long day. You guys are awesome. Which makes you awesome, Robert. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping.
I love the questions, and I know that this is right up his alley and something he has a huge interest in. And I know he's going to go to school in Chicago and do his things. And I respect that. I really love that. He says, we'll get some more replay tomorrow during breakfast break. Be well, Robert. Have a good night's sleep. Appreciate my friend. This guy, I don't know if I should block him. He's kind of trolling a little bit, but look at that picture. Isn't that sexy, man?
I love that picture.
That's a sexy man.
I mean, how do you disagree with somebody who
you can't disagree with him? That avatar makes you, yeah. But he's saying the secret is I don't plan. I don't think it's a secret. I think you told us that before. Let me say this about John. I think he's really good at what he wants to do. He's good at on the fly, more than he probably commit, but yes, going out and getting more intentional with B-roll and trying to work that into, I call it the story. This is tough. It's tough work. And I know you do it for a living. So, for guys like me who not really had to do that on a consistent basis, putting that together really tough. That's another subject, another story. But, I think for me, for a while, I need to be intentional. I think that's my safe. Maybe, I don't know if that's the safest place or not. It's hard
I'll
to
say when you're learning, being intentional with what you shoot, knowing where it's going to go in the edit will make you a better editor. And it's the same thing with editing will make you a better shooter because you'll know what you need to shoot to cover your holes in your edit. So it's
right.
being these content jack of all trades that we all have to be makes us better at everything. So if you are struggling with one or the other, maybe just try shooting more, maybe do more editing, and then
it's such great advice. You can never do enough editing, even just practicing around. I shoot a lot around the house of the gardens and the dogs, and I just mess around a little bit, although it's hard to find the time. So you feel like you should be doing something like a video. I want to stop in at Mojo Jam Tracks, which I love as a musician myself. I just love the photo there with the lone guitar sitting on the chair. It's just like, it's appropriate. Mojo, I don't know that we've met, but welcome. And you're saying hello, learning about live streaming before I get started. And if you have any questions about live streaming, let us know what I don't know if you know John or how you found us, but I'm glad you're here. And we've got a guy who's won 8 regional Emmys and doing filming. And so we know some things about cameras and shooting. Right now we're talking about videos, but if you have any questions on live streaming that all can fit into the thing, don't ever hesitate to ask. I learned live streaming on the fly, I guess. So I can appreciate Mojo where you're at. I've only been doing this about 3 months. And I co-host a show with a guy who was on earlier, John, who you might know. And this is my 30th, almost my 29th live. And yes, so if there's anything I can do to help, we love to help people. Let us know. If not, thank you for stopping in and enjoy. And I hope we do see you around. I'd love to know more about you. So if you want to drop some information to the chat, maybe where you're from or anything, let us know. And if you have a channel, I don't think I'm subscribed to you, but if you have a channel, just drop that in the comments after we're done here, and people will subscribe to you and check you out. I want to check first of all, the lights are out in the hotel room. I feel like this play-by-play got weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to read the rest.
This is a family show. I feel like we're going to get jammed up a little bit if we go down this road. Mommy Lala says, I hope you can find that good mix. Yes, John's suggestion's great. Remember how we were so blown away by that unboxing video you did live while John and JA were streaming? You did
the little time lapse or stop motion thing. That was fun. For
the t-shirt, which really blew people away. And those are great things. And those are things that probably to you seem almost simple. I know you were doing it pretty quick that day because we were talking, and yet it turned out, it was fascinating how well it turned out. And for us, that's the trick, right? Like for guys that do this for a living, sometimes you're like, why bother like really getting too deep in this with people? But yet people love it and they don't really know how to do it. You know?
And I did make a short, rather unspectacular video on how I did that. So it's on my channel. If you're curious, you can check that out.
I know that Lala and others are very excited to see where your journey is going on your channel. I know I am, and I know from my ear to the ground that things are percolating, and that's really awesome to see. Mikey says some people can work. The word this would have been great for John, but I get thrown at contemporaneously. The rest of us have to plan. I am absolutely, Mikey. I'm a planner, and I worry that I overplan. And so I got into Notion so I could really plan my videos out and structure things and kind of create the flow. I have to have that. I'm not a guy. I wish I was. I wish I was a person who did let's say I did my video, my unboxing video or my video on the product, and then I'm done. And then I'm sitting there and I got this blank canvas. I wish I was that guy. I'd be like, I got it. It's all everything from the script to my A roll to my B roll. I got it all. It's all fine. Mm. I know there are guys in your field who can do that. I know there are guys on YouTube who can do that. I just don't think it's most of us. Do you think? If you found that to be the case, or do you find that even people in your own industry, professionals, have to be a little bit more intentional?
So there are people that are writers that I swear they just gets it's like they get struck by lightning and it just pours out of them. And there are also people that can read a script they've never seen before and make you cry with how sincere that seems. And so there are amazing people that can do those films, but those are not ordinary skills. Getting in front of a camera and talking to people and being on a live stream is not a skill that everyone has. I mean, I definitely I'm getting practice doing this because it is. I am way more comfortable on the other side of the lens, not this side. But you know,
Emmys. It wasn't from acting and being a news anchor.
No,
you had to do it from the other side.
I was making them look good. I can make them look good. Making myself on this side. I feel like a mess. But
you and I are a lot alike because as a drummer, as a lifelong drummer, we're considered the supportive role. We don't, I mean, okay, you got your Phil Collins, a couple guys who sing, we got Foo Fighters. But the truth of it is most of us are sitting in the back. No one's really seeing us. We're sitting low. And if we're lucky, we get a riser once in a while, which is always nice. But the truth is we're sitting back there. We're in our own little world. We can see everything. We're kind of like, doing our thing. But we're almost the introverts. And weirdly, now you get some drummers who clearly are running the show. Don't get me wrong. But, generally we're considered the introverts with that. And, so I get that. And so when you have to come out front, I have someone who I play and tour with for the last 20 years. I spoke with her over the weekend, and she's an amazing lyricist and singer-songwriter, and I'm lucky to know her. She can write a lyric in a minute and make a song on it. It's incredible. It makes me nuts. And so I know what you mean. It's like crossing over the threshold to do that is not, it takes a lot of fortitude to kind of push yourself through that, right?
Yeah. And I think there's some people just have a natural knack. Like I feel like you and John just, like, I don't know, whatever it is, you when you get a camera on you, it's like you have this energy. And like, I feel like when you put a camera on when it's on me, I feel like a potato. I need to like overreact so I can like have some energy. Like, is Brian asleep on his side of the camera? Is he alive? Somebody poke Brian, make sure he's okay.
Someone call 911. You know, the truth of it. Okay, so we've had that talk. Like, I think John he's probably the most energetic out of all of us. I'm a different type of energy. Now if I get ruffled like I do with the scam today, you know, I can get fired up, but truthfully, I'm a little bit more laid back, which is what I love. And I think that's why John and I do work so well. But at the same time, I think there's such a cool thing about you and your delivery. We talked about this. I think for this type of subject, it's perfect. Now we have our guys out there going, hey guys, today we're going to learn about FPS. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's great information, and I do subscribe to those channels. I'd be nice.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? And fine. It's not me. It's not you.
If he does ever watch this, I love you. Please be my friend.
Well, we're not knocking that. We're just saying we're not that. Like, if we tried to do that, we would look like clowns. Yeah. The guys who do that, who do it well, I respect because they're leaning into what they do well. You should do what you do well. And you and I are not going to be, what's up, guys? We're really like fools. Yeah. I think there's a place for that. I think there's a place for a more calmer tone and having discussions about these things. I love these type of discussions, and you and I could get in some pretty heady discussions that talk about being intentional, what that means as a creative, and what that can do to you on a psychological level. All these things are intertwined. So when we start talking about mixed frame rates, it could quickly dissolve really quickly into your psychological and emotional being as a creative and what that means, because it's all one affects the other. And so you and I love that. So you can't be running around going, what's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about your emotional imbalance as we talk about mixed frame rates and resolution and being intentional. That's probably not the best.
Yes, I agree.
That would be hilarious. It would be kind of hilarious. It would be.
maybe we can do a parody video of just.
We could do a parody video. And John says he always says this. I don't plan enough. No, I mean, maybe, okay. So let's say he's not planning enough, but he's doing, and the whole ledger is based on, planning and then doing, right. And trying to, I think, find a balance of planning enough where when you're doing, you're getting the result you want. But I think getting that ledger balance, is tough. Because, well, real life, the fact that we all don't know everything, and this stupid thing that we're doing, and I say that lovingly, would you agree, John? Is there anything that has more differing degrees of skill sets along the chain of content creation for YouTube? It's insane.
No.
The amount of skills that you have to go from A to Z.
And this is the industry in general now. Everyone used to be very specialist. An editor would never shoot or rarely shoot. The reporter would not have to touch a camera. And it's just not like that anymore. And people that are content creators are doing everything. And it is such a diverse skill set, because you have the creativeness of coming up with being entertaining. You have the performance aspect of actually performing the words and being entertaining. You have the technical engineering background of you have to connect all these wires together. I'll tell you, camera operators, like news photographers back in the day, they didn't touch their cameras in general.
Right.
So they have an engineering crew to do it.
They would never cross streams.
Right. And this is like an amalgamation of so many people. I say that I feel like I wear a million hats, and I'm sure, and I see you guys doing this too, where you haven't even touched it, you've never even seen a camera 6 months beforehand, and you're doing it, and it's just amazing.
Well, let's just be honest about it. The content. We lost us a Brian.
Oh no.
Is that your battery again? Did you not get a dummy battery for your camera? Or
Well, it's plugged into the
did you get timed out? Did your wife come in and still have to switch off? Is this a Christmas vacation?
I
moment?
probably need to check and make sure the cat's not sitting on the
Oh my
the
God, that
data
is-
card. So
Well, that means at least you can hear me. So if we could talk to you while you're troubleshooting, we could do that. I could take you off screen for a second. Let me know when you're back on if you are.
I do have full battery, so it's not that. It's my Elgato. So
He's there. He's doing his thing.
oh hi, I'm back.
You're,
Again. Look
you're
at me.
back again.
Uh,
Let's just
sorry, a
let's,
little overheating problem.
that's okay. I mean, it's going to happen. We're just going to move through this stuff. Okay, let's just take into account this crazy. We're getting off subject a little bit, but let's take into account what we have to do before we get to. I mean, this kind of reminds me. I'm a musician. It's the same damn thing where you want me to show up at a gig, which was how it used to be. Hey, guy, sit in your hotel room, write your music, practice. You show up at the gig. We've got everything's going to be loaded in, sounded up. You sit down, you playing monkey, and you play us a song. You play your hearts out, but don't think about anything else, right? Nowadays, I can tell you as a musician, anybody who's a musician, that's not true because there are no R&D budgets. There are nobody running around anymore finding you in bars saying, you're going to be the next big thing. That ship has sailed. That's not how this is done anymore. And so you have to often be your own person. So you're okay while you're learning your instrument and writing lyrics, you're also to figure out how to master Photoshop to create things like flyers or whatever kind of thing. Be a web developer. You've got to figure out the craziness of YouTube and SEO. Figure out how to create groups on Facebook, and you've got to do your own advertising and get your merch together. It goes on and on and on. And guess what? Nowadays, you got to have some idea how you're handling your own in your monitors and dealing with sound checks. You can't just show up and drop on the chair and play. So by the time you start to play your song, how creative as a musician do you think you're going to be? I have seen musicians absolutely melt down when the lights go on because they're gassed, like mentally just worn out. Mm-hmm. So now as a creative, we kind of have that same kind of chain, right? We have to figure out 3-point lighting, right? What Kelvin? How do we get our audio in? If we get an audio in, how are we going to route it? What mic should we use? Oh my God, a DAW. Maybe what kind of editor are we going to have to make our videos pretty? B-roll. What the hell is B-roll? And then we get it all together. Well, how do we put this out best for YouTube? And now we get into YouTube. We got YouTube Buddy and vidIQ, and we got SEU and Tag. Right? You get the idea. By the time you start to learn all this stuff, and then you have real life and you have kids and you have things going on. Creative. Who's being creative? Who has time to be creative, right?
Right.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I'm really, I guess I'm passionate about it because I see how hard it is for people. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're here is we're trying to like smooth some of this chain out of all these links. It's not easy. I think when I said earlier to John, that's amazing. That's an incredible accomplishment. But those are the things I'm thinking about. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about all the things he's had to do or people like him have had to do to get to that number and all of the things they've had to put together and learn and do. We don't have teams. Right. So that's when we start getting into this. I'm bringing back into being intentional. Mm-hmm. Because the last thing I want to do is create more work for myself filming and also in editing, because what I've had happen when I'm not intentional, I end up with 15 clips of the same thing trying to cover my ass. Yeah. And I said ass. And so I think I want to be more intentional because I want to be able to sit down and almost have that storyboarded out. That's obviously the best way to do it. I mean, if you can pull it out.
Right. I mean, even in like documentary forms where you don't control what happens in front of you, you're just there to capture it. There's a point where you need to be intentional with what you're gathering. You can't just keep like going, following your subject every single day. Man, my capture card really have it. So anyways, my point is that that being intentional is something that can help you no matter what you're creating with video. Like have an idea how much video you need to cover your A-roll. Make sure that you plan enough time to get what you need, but you're not over planning. Don't shoot 4-hour interviews if you don't have to.
Getting enough, but just enough. In other words, it is no. It's like gambling, like knowing when to walk away from the table a little bit, because you're just going to get yourself into diminishing returns, and that's just not helping any of the creativity. Now you've moved into a world where you're just overwhelmed by the amount of footage you shot and the decisions now that you have at your disposal, right?
Yeah.
And that takes you into a bad place. That's okay. We can finish up here shortly. Anyway, I want to read a couple things. First of all, John was saying that you were doing great with live, Brian, and I have to agree. You are doing great. You have your voice, you have your approach. It's going to work out really well for you. Once you find the way to distribute that voice, that's going to work out, I think, extremely well. I think we're all excited about that. And Mommy Lala says, indeed, we are all very different people, but respect, which we have here, and it's very true. Respect is always our key. Is one of the reasons I love Jay and John's streams. And that's a very that's a lovely thing to say. And it's important because we need to know that. We need to know that we're showing respect and that people feel respected by us and the chat and everything that's around here. So she also says that that's very true, Brian. It's a blessing to be able to turn your passion into your career. You still love it. And it's a very tricky thing to do. It's almost like starting a business with your wife. It's very difficult to maintain those things, but I think you're the kind of person who you get it. And I think your value systems, you understand what works for you and what doesn't, right? Did we lose you? Are you?
No, I'm still here. Yeah,
you're fishing for a solution on the HDMI. I can appreciate that.
Yep.
The frustration of dealing with that. That's okay. Don't stress it. You can, if you find it, you find it. If you don't, we can kind of wrap up here. We held people long enough, and it's 10:44. Is there anything else? I mean, I feel like at least it's a tip of the iceberg of what we actually kind of prep for, which is always the best way. It's always to over prep, and then you have something for another day. And we can always stream up. We can bring you back on, or you and I can buddy up and do something on a weekend. We'll figure something out to cover the material.
And I tell you, I found the problem.
What is it?
I misdiagnosed Mr. Gato, so I'm sorry for that. My Sony A7 III has overheated.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I have not. John's gonna eviscerate me if he's still awake. I still have yet to deal with that on my camera, where you can reset that warning and kind of basically disengage it, or change the level of it. I haven't done that yet on here, and I don't get it very often, but once in a while I'll get a little heat warning. It hasn't popped off on me yet, though, doing it. Interesting.
This hasn't happened to me very often. I am shooting a little differently than I normally do, but I will say that you typically get better results if you move the back screen away from the body. And so I'm going to try that and see.
That's what I did. I flipped up my screen to kind of, release any of that heat, I suppose. There you are. So I guess that might be part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, it is right next to my light, and it's, I think when you run USB-C power to it, it makes it a little hotter.
It does.
But I'm not recording or anything, so I am surprised. I mean, now, and I have had it on for a ridiculous amount of time. Not that our stream is going ridiculous, but I had it on 2 hours before this too. So it's definitely. I typically don't have any problems with my Sony's overheating, but it does happen. So,
well, you proved that point.
Yeah.
We can. That's evidence. You can't run from it.
It's on tape. It's recorded now.
I really love this conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time. And there's so many other things we could get into in and around being intentional, dipping even more into what makes. But I feel like I was happy to have this discussion with you on frame rates. And while I've learned a lot having this discussion with you and going through this, I'm probably will ask you more questions. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll figure it out. We'll do something like this again and really kind of have a really slick demo, because visuals I think can really help with people understanding a little bit what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can be intentional with that.
Sure.
And then there's some other things. And one of the things we didn't talk about, and we don't have to get into, but we talk about the cost of making a decision. Because there is a cost to whether you shoot natively and then you bring that in as a native quality, or if you shoot with the S&Q, and then you kind of commit to something. There is another cost to committing with the S&Q, and I threw that at you today, and that is your proxy media setup is going to be not so good. You have to tweak it. Right. I use proxy media. A lot of people do because it unloads an awful lot of burden onto and I tell you, it's great. It's worth doing. And it's not a big deal. I sent you a video today that you watched, and you replied that you thought Premiere maybe had taken that bug out, maybe in an update.
Well, yeah. So I saw that the video with the fix was from 2018. And one of the things about Premiere is that they have that subscription pricing model, so you are paying to have bugs fixed constantly.
You get updates, yeah.
So like there's always an update every like couple months. So I'd be surprised if something hasn't fixed that by now. But it would be interesting just to test.
Well, I can't test it, but maybe sometime you could test it on Premiere. I will test what's going on in the DaVinci world with that. I think that's a good thing to know, because the truth of it is I'm not giving up proxy. If it becomes now, I know in Premiere there is a workaround, as we talked about, and maybe that's already been flushed out. DaVinci maybe as well. They've cleaned up a lot of things on proxy media as in the 17 release. Well, they've really added a better way of doing it. But if not, I'm going to be honest with you, then I'm not going to shoot with S&Q, because I can't. I just, the proxy media is a deal breaker for me, I think. You know, I mean, for other people, maybe not. Maybe they're so powerful on their computers, it's fine. When you start adding in B-roll clips on top of A, if I was just shooting A, I probably could get away. But adding B-roll and then trying to deal with all that nonsense, I just found it to be too much of you don't work with proxy media, you said, right?
I have in the past, and when I needed to.
Doesn't sound like you really cared for it, or you just don't need. You probably have computers where you don't really need to, you know.
So for most of the content that I'm doing now, it's mainly I'm using 420 4K files that play back really well on my computer. I don't have any problems with it. Now my camera also shoots a compressed RAW. And if I was going to start using that, then I would definitely go back to proxies again, because the raw playback from that codec is just it's okay, but it's not great even with powerful machines. So it really, I think it just depends on your machine and what you're shooting.
Yeah.
That's whether or not that works for you. An alternative to proxies that I will often do is I will convert it to an intermediate codec. So something like Apple's ProRes or GoPro Cineform.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And those play back better in more systems. So it's even if it's not as powerful, but it's not a proxy because it's still full quality. So like that could be a different step, but I will say that the proxy workflow in DaVinci and Premiere has gotten so good that
I agree.
Definitely. If you would get any benefit out of it all, like I would definitely check into it.
Well, before, let me just say, before I think 17 DaVinci,
Excuse me.
I believe it was a little more cumbersome. So it was pretty much, they had an option to do it, but it was a workaround almost. And then you would use optimized media really as much as you could.
Right.
Now the proxy media is so easy, one click, that nobody uses the optimized media effort in DaVinci anymore. I'm sold on the proxy media idea. I'm going to try to get better using, there's a way to do that with Fusion, because really that slows your stuff down. These titles, the whole animation moving titles will slow you down really quick. Yeah. When you start adding those in, and people are like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "There's a way to deal with that." I think it's called save out, load ins, or something with Fusion. I have to work through that yet, but there's a way to do that. I think all these things are important if you want to speed things up. But now with 17, it's too easy, honestly, not to use it. and speed your stuff up. That's just my opinion. But if it was a pain, I wouldn't do it.
So it used to be when you did proxies, inevitably something would become unlinked.
Yes.
And you'd have to be, and if you didn't have good media management, which I think is super important, and I'm definitely guilty of not having the best media management, and
we're gonna get you on Kino. Yeah.
So it's it could be an issue. In Final Cut 7, it'd be really easy for your media to spider across several different drives, and every time you open your project, you'll see that it's missing one or two files or they're unlinked, and then you have to go search and find them. Well, now they make it so like the computer almost knows where it is, so like you just have to click look for it, and it's like, yep, that's it right there.
DaVinci they've had it for a while. The relink with DaVinci has been for quite a while, really amazing. It's like I've not really lost a lot of links. It's usually because I moved something or I changed my media stuff. And it's just basically they're saying, just find any kind of folder above where you think it is. Tell it to look in there. It'll find it. And it does. It's like you say, just give me a target. I'll find it. It's really, really solid. DaVinci is such a great, for what it is such a great product. There's some definite benefits to Premiere, no doubt, but I am where I am right now, and it may change. I think that's always cool too.
Yeah, I've never there's no reason to, if something's working for you, and there's not a reason to change, then don't change. I will say that I'm working on a project in Premiere that once it's done, I'm going to send it to Resolve because I like the way the color corrector in Resolve works better.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
So that's called round tripping, and
okay.
The way I do it is kind of like half tripping, but it works for me, and so I'll probably go into what I do eventually, but DaVinci has this new scan for cuts utility that's amazing. So like if you take something you edited in another system and import it, you can search find for cuts in the media pool, and it will make cuts at all your locations or where you made the cuts, and that way when you go to change the color on one of your clips, it's not affecting the whole timeline. It's just that clip, and it's pretty darn good. I mean, I still have to adjust a little bit after the fact, but way better than what we used to have.
It's incredible what they're doing, and so the more we can learn about it and bring it into, I guess, a layman's term for myself, the better, we can just kind of move on and get our creativity in, because these are such friction points for the average person. And it's just a little knowledge goes such a long way with these editors now. If you could just know enough about this and enough about that, the world opens up for you into doing some amazing things. And I realized it's a lot less than you think to open those doors up. And now if we want to nerd out sometime, we could sometime, bore the people to death with this Bayer pattern thing. And
the Bayer pattern,
Bayer, I call it the Bayer, Bayer, like Bayer aspirin, right? We could always get into something like that. That's something I was not even aware of until you brought up. I have to dig into that. Someday we can have a nerd out on that.
I mean, that could be a 3-hour stream right there just on that.
No, we're not doing that. I don't think I can hold a 3-hour.
Wrap it in, guys. Come on, we're in.
Bayer pattern. I think that would just no.
You'd have to bring in Gerald Undone, and but he may be the only other person watching the video. So
he might be. He's the only one who cares about it. In the end, I just want to stick with things that will help people so they can kind of get through and learn enough to do B-roll, learn enough to, I want to do slow-mo and add that in. How do I actually do that? It sounds easy, and then you have to do it. And you're just like, ooh, I'm not really understanding the flow here, the option.
Just because I don't think everyone knows, DaVinci's free program is very good. Like you don't have to pay. And so when people ask, well, what's the best free editor on Mac or PC? It's like, well, it's have you tried DaVinci? Start there. I will say that there, and it's gotten better, but it's a little intimidating. The learning curve is pretty steep with DaVinci, with all the things it can do because it's so powerful. But I think that if you can look beyond that and just concentrate on what you need to do, those actions are actually pretty simple.
I 100%. And the best advice I can give on that is you open up DaVinci, and I still use the free one, although I'm going to upgrade and buy the one-time license, which is like $250. And you also get the $299 cut editor with it, which is ridiculous. B&H has that. I would just suggest filming anything in your phone, anywhere, and dropping a minute-long clip into the timeline and pulling up YouTube and saying, how do I do this? How do we do it? And just use that as a sandbox, and you will learn so much so fast on how to cut, on how to mess with your audio, on how to, put effect and transitions into it. It's so easy though to learn if you just keep it simple, like keep one clip, bring it in, and then from there, just kind of have a project and just say, I'm just going to play with this thing and see how it goes, which is true with anything. But I think with that, you have to be patient and give yourself a little time. But once you get past a couple things in DaVinci, it starts to really speed up pretty quick. And it's a powerful tool. It really is.
Great resources on YouTube and elsewhere too.
There's incredible resources. That's where I've learned pretty much everything. And then from you, I've been, hey, knock, knock. Brian, I've got a question for you. Well, Brian, I think we should wrap it. I think it's been great. I want to thank John for dropping in here at the beginning. That was a lot of fun, actually. And three of us always have a good time.
Yeah,
I want to thank everybody who stopped by. Of course, we have, Marlene and Mommy Lala stopping in. It's great to see Mikey Lito. We had not really officially met. I really love seeing you. Robert Ash was here, stepped in, of course, Pullum and Sammy. Just so many people. Zan stopped in earlier because he had to eat. Zan runs his day on such a regimen, man. He's just like, he must have been in the military. He's like, I'm coming on the stream at X. I got 22 minutes and 32 seconds, and then I gotta go eat.
I wish I had that kind of I can't get that word that like
discipline,
mental
maybe?
hard discipline. Yeah, I wish I had that like discipline that I could do that, but I'm like, it's like no. What is it? It's like 3 and I haven't eaten lunch. What the heck's that about?
Yeah, I get thrown off a little bit when that blood sugar gets weird. So I totally get it. And no, he's such a good guy, and it's he's always so supportive and stops in when he can, and that means a lot. And so many other people like Samantha as well, and people. So I want to thank everybody. Brian, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate it. I will talk to you on the flip side. Stay in stream. I'll find you in a second.
Just real quick before you let me go, I want to say thank you to Lala and all the comments I've gotten and all the love. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I have been reading the comments, and I will. I'm excited to have more content for you guys soon.
I love that, and it's so heartfelt, and you know that, and because you're on the other side of it, and our streaming buddy community is real, and you and I keep talking about it. We should commit to really branding out the streaming buddy thing, and going with that, and I think that would be a lot of fun, and you're a big part of that, obviously, and yeah, exactly. Wait, here we go. I mean, I don't mind doing that. It's fine. That's a pinky. It's not a forefinger.
Oh, sorry.
That John, if John's watching right now, he is absolutely going crazy, not enjoying that at all. But he might have enjoyed the mixed frame rate and the mixed resolution and S&Q talk. He gets off on that nerd stuff. But a friend of mine just stopped in. That's funny. So Kay, I call him Kay. He's his name is Chris Kringle, and that is his real name. And we're not going to, that's just what it is. And I'm not going to call him out or anything weird and expose him because he's a private dude, phenomenal musician, and I'm going to commit to him. He's going to work on some. He does a lot of recording in the studio, and he does audiobook recordings, and he's very, very good at it. And so we are going to put together a series on setting up basics for audio recording from mics, choices, and the whole deal. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And he's like you and I, Brian. He's got the same vibe and same humor as me, and very irreverent and very much the same thing. So we're going to go down that path. And I think, Brian, you'll love that take on if I can pull it off.
No, I'm excited. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's so good to see you and see him drop in and say hi. It means the world to see him, and he's a good buddy. I'll be speaking with him in the morning. And so, Brian, so you're on to do your thing. I will talk to you very shortly. We will do this again, I hope, very soon, one way or the other, my friend. So I'll kick you out. I'll talk to you very soon. Again, thank you to everybody who stopped in. And again, my buddy John Ryan, my co-host, he's out of town. I told him he's in Beirut, but he's not really in Beirut. He is actually in Hershey, Pennsylvania with his family. Hopefully he's asleep by now. I hope he's not still watching, but we had a good time. I'm glad he stopped in from his remote location. None for the wear. Did a great job on that. And everybody, I had a great time with everybody. Now, Thursday night, we'll be on John's channel for the stream. That would be 9 p.m. Eastern time. So check us out at Coffee Talk and Tech. And we'll do that. Marlene, thank you so much for stopping in. You're always supportive. Appreciate it. And always with the kind words. That's pretty much all I got. Again, this was Amazon Scam Day. I will hopefully get my money back. There's no guarantees in life. I might get it. I might not. On the way out, I'm going to get Cashew. Cashew, it's always good to see you. You're good. You're a good cat. Love it. Hope Denver's doing well. Be well, my friend. Brian, can you hear this tune? Can you hear the music? Can you even hear me? No? All right, guys. Thanks again, guys. Time to go to bed. Love all of you. We'll see you on next Tuesday.
Into the black